戦争は変わった。一つの時代が終わり、俺たちの戦争は終わった。
War has changed. It's no longer about nations, ideologies, or ethnicity. It's an endless series of proxy battles fought by mercenaries and machines. War and its consumption of life has become a well-oiled machine. War has changed. Verified soldiers carry algorithmic arms, manipulate social influence, AI enhance and regulate their timelines. Memetic control, information control, emotion control, battlefield control. Everything is monitored and kept under control. War has changed. The age of deterrence has become the age of control, all in the name of averting catastrophe from weapons of mass destruction. And he who controls the battlefield controls history. War has changed. And when the battlefield is under total control, war becomes routine.
Think outside the cage.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gons as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is March 2nd, 2026. We are live to tape on episode 919. And today, Blood Moon Portals. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gons, at Face Like the Sun, director of the Age of Deceit films and author of Archetypalism, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And it is Monday.
Gary, what day is it? Monday. Monday.
What did we miss? Did we miss anything? Did something happen this last week?
Nothing important. Sorry
Okay,
about the rocky road last week, everybody. I was on the Rainbow Road through time and space, and Gons held down Monday pretty well, but things fell apart after that. But we're back, Gons, and there's always a reason. There's always a reason why things work out like this, and we may never know what that reason is, but that's what it's like to live with some faith in this world. But yeah, very exciting week, and probably for the best that we just kind of sit back and monitor the situation. Were you monitoring the situation?
It didn't help that our president, Mr. Trump, dropped a video at 11:30 p.m. on a Friday night announcing basically the beginning of World War III. Come on, Trump, you couldn't do it on like a Monday morning, get everybody pumped up for the week.
That's why you got to monitor the situation, guys. It's 24/7 job to monitor the situation. Everybody's doing a very good job monitoring the situation. We'll get into some, it is so when you monitor the situation, such as we and our perfect compatriots out there listening to us do as well, that's when the patterns, they start to arise. That's when the hidden layer of reality begins to reveal itself. And that's when it all starts making sense, okay? So good job, everybody, for monitoring the situation. And luckily, we've got a little bit more to report on this week than necessarily the sort of, the play-by-play. But of course, big things happened over the weekend. We know this, but there's always a question. What else is going on? We're going to look a little bit deeper into the undercurrents, Gons. There's always some undercurrents.
Always. And just as a little late, but yesterday, March 1st, was World Compliment Day. So, Basil,
No.
I've always loved your beautiful googly eyes.
Wow. Thank you. I've always liked your beady little shark eyes, Gons.
Wow. Okay. All right. Let's bring racism back. Let's do it. Might as well.
I don't know if shark eyes necessarily is racist.
Okay,
It might be
speciesism. Speciesism. Are you calling me a shark in Asian? What?
You say somebody has beady little shark eyes, it means, there's something going on. They're thinking something back there. You can't really, there's not an expression, like a human expression that you can read. I don't know. You've got beautiful eyes, Gonzo. So as we start out, is it Monday today? It is.
It is Monday, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like there's something I was supposed to say here at the top, and I don't know what it is. So maybe I'll say, one note here for you, Gonzo. I forgot to bring this up during the many hour-long pre-show preparation we did today.
Yes.
Where you'll see on our working document that we're going to be mixing in some producers there labeled in the document, because we have not thanked producers since February 18th. So it's been a while, which thankfully, it's always nice to have a big list of producers, whether it took us 2 weeks to get there or if it's for an individual episode, it's all good. So I just want to make you aware of that before we reach that stumbling block.
Okay. Yes, I see it. It's all coming together. So
excellent.
Good to go.
All right. Well, one thing broke today, Gons.
Yes.
And as always, as any genius monitoring the situation will know, that there are big world events, there are history shaping activities by the great men of our age that happen to take a lot of attention away from other things going on. Is this on purpose? Often, possibly, yes. Or are these things planned ahead of time? I don't know. But breaking today, we had an interesting story in regards to UFOs, disclosure, etc., etc., etc.
You don't know what you're looking at.
What's driving that thing? It's not a space alien.
Aliens. It's unidentified.
Yes.
For our UFO disclosure loving listeners, we wanted to start you out with a little bit of this, because who knows? Maybe it will become very important later.
As far as the way things have been happening, everything is related to everything. We've known this for a long time, but I think more people are starting to recognize that it's not something happening over here and something happening over here. It's all one big hairball.
Right.
That's what we're living in. So FoxNews.com headline: retired general who once led Air Force Research Laboratory goes missing.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. It says here a retired U.S. Air Force general was reported missing in New Mexico, with authorities warning that medical concerns have heightened fears for his safety. It's not so much that he's missing, it's that, he needs to take his pills. Retired Major General.
Well, what's interesting?
Yeah.
Isn't New Mexico where that Guthrie woman disappeared?
Yeah, I think so. There's something's going on in New Mexico for sure.
The gray hairs are disappearing in New Mexico. It's
if you're over a certain age, maybe get out of New Mexico. Retired Major General William Neal McCasland, 68, was last seen around 11 a.m. Friday near Quail Run Court, NE in Albuquerque. The Bernalillo County Sheriff Office said. Officials said they do not know what McCasland was wearing or in which direction he may have traveled. The sheriff's office has issued a silver alert.
Silver alert. Beep, 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 beep,
silver beep, alert. Beep. Silver alert. Due to his medical, this is a quote, due to his medical issues, law enforcement is concerned for his safety. Not that he's missing. It's his medical concerns or medical issues.
That's the thing. I mean, it's weird. Always a concern. That's why silver alerts are so important. You never know, the shape one of our elders keeping the society running are in. Usually when a silver alert is posted, they have some sort of reason for it. But, New Mexico, obviously very interesting for a number of reasons. but I'm starting to think there may be some sort of like directed energy weapon, voice to skull, mind control beam. That is, this is like the start to a mediocre Netflix like sci-fi drama. You know, what's happening in New Mexico? All of our boomers are disappearing. They're walking out into the street. Where are they going? What are they doing? All right, tell us more.
Okay, well, also silver being AG, element number 47, President 47. A lot of 47s going on too. McCasland was a longtime leader at Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico and previously commanded Kirtland Phillips Research Site and Air Force Research Laboratory. Colonel Justin Seacrest, commander of the 377th Air Base Wing at Kirtland, told the Albuquerque Journal that the base is coordinating with local authorities. Quote, "Our thoughts are with his family during this difficult time," Seacrest said. McCasland was commissioned in 1979 after graduating from the U.S. Air Force Academy with a degree in astronautical engineering and held multiple leadership roles in space research, acquisition, and operation, including work with the National Reconnaissance Office. And then they give some phone numbers to dial if you see him out there somewhere. So
yeah,
that's it. That's the story. There you go. Old man missing. Nothing to see here. I mean, you know, hey, military guy, but silver alert. That's it.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting how they sort of leave out some very interesting details about this guy that I think are actually would be relevant to finding him? Honestly,
I think so. And maybe Fox News also leaning into the fringier topics every so often. You'd think that they would bring up some of this stuff, but maybe, you know, they're dangling the carrot. They're letting the internet sleuths get to it. It doesn't take much because all you got to do is go to
right there in Wikipedia,
which, by the way, Wikipedia also says here, McCasland is a senior member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, IEEE. Longtime Canary Cry listeners know we were reporting from the IEEE right from the beginning with all the transhumanist stuff and all that, because it was one of the only official outlets that was really talking about all the weird biological transhumanism, the singularity, the technological upload of the mind into the machine. All those things were being discussed at the IEEE, publishing papers on it and whatnot. So the fact that that's even in here in the Wikipedia is interesting. But
by the way,
no surprises.
In that same section you're reading, his post-military career, it says McCasland is currently Director of Technology at Applied Technology Associates, an Albuquerque, New Mexico-based subsidiary of Arlington, Virginia-based Blue Halo, a defense conglomerate operating in the areas of space warfare, directed energy, missile defense, cyber, and C4ISR. Since 2013, McCasland has been an associate fellow of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Aeronautics.
AIAA.
So in case maybe that flew over somebody's head, Applied Technology Associates, subsidiary of Arlington, Virginia-based Blue Halo. It means CIA cutout. This is a CIA corporate cutout, of course, because we can't have, you know, things like space warfare, directed energy, et cetera, on the official books of the CIA. So this is classic. But by the way, New Mexico, the same place where Roswell happened, and in many reports writing about this guy, well, actually, let's get into on his Wikipedia page, the section called Involvement in Unidentified Flying Object Disclosure. So just right there. McCasland's involvement with the topic of unidentified flying objects became public when WikiLeaks released an archive of Hillary Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta's email records in 2016.
Oh, Pizzagate. Yeah. Pizzagate. Yeah.
The archive of documents was obtained from a data breach by Fancy Bear, a hacking group which the United States government alleges is associated with military intelligence assets of the Russian Federation. It's the Russians, Gons.
I know, it's always the Russians.
Maybe the Russians took the guy. We got to keep an eye out. Podesta's involvement in UFO disclosure initiatives is well documented throughout his service in both the Clinton and the Obama administrations. DeLong led To the Stars, a nonprofit associated with the UFO disclosure movement. The pair's collaboration on seemingly fringe science led some to speculate that public officials like McCasland were manipulating DeLong into developing a UFO cover story for new classified American defense technology of terrestrial origin. Meaning the conspiracy theory that the UFO thing is a cover story to hide new fancy technology that we have, not that the fancy technology came from aliens, which seems like a lot of work, but who knows,
And this is, well, first off, let's talk about John Podesta for a moment, because John Podesta, I mention it every time his name pops up nowadays, but there were some videos that I made on the Face Like the Sun channel years ago, not about the pizza. I mean, I did talk about the Pizzagate stuff, but there was a report back in 2015, 2016, actually 2016, I think it was right after Hillary Clinton lost the election, and John Podesta stepped down, and he said, my biggest regret during his time of service to the U.S. government was not releasing more UFO documents, not eating pizza and hot dogs and stuff. It was not enough UFO disclosure was his take on stuff, which was very bizarre. But also, now that we mentioned, or the Wikipedia mentions Tom DeLonge, of course, I mean, I don't know about you, Basil, but when I was growing up, Blink-182 was probably one of the biggest bands out there. And if you recall, Tom DeLonge put together I believe it was called the Academy to the Stars. It was some university, or To the Stars. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, To the Stars Academy. Again, supposedly doing research and whatnot for UFO disclosure. It was one of the first times that the UFO topic became dragged into not like just mainstream, but pop culture in a more official way, as far as I remember. I know it's happened in the past over the last 70 years with various events and Roswell and all these things, but in our epoch, Basil, it was Tom DeLonge that got all the young people excited about UFOs and aliens. And it was the lead singer, guitar player, Tom DeLonge, that led the charge there. So kind of interesting. And the idea that there are actual advanced technologies that the United States government or the breakaway civilization have been developing for not centuries, but maybe decades, maybe about a century now. And that, using the UFO or alien story as a cover-up for that seems to be a theme. If you dig into the Roswell event, our late mentor and friend, Dr. Michael Heiser, used to always talk about how Roswell, the whole crash, the whole thing was a cover-up for this type of experimentation, like high-altitude experiments. And the bodies they found were just human beings suffering from certain types of diseases and things. It wasn't aliens. So it's much easier.
Yeah, well, it's one of those funny parts of being a speculative person, let's say, of official narratives, is that often they can go both ways. Oh no, it's technology. This is terrestrial technology, and they're making up the story about UFOs. Oh no, it's UFO technology, and they're making up the story that we just invented it. Which it's part of the confusing demoralization campaign, I think, to keep people fighting about it.
Well, it's much easier to get people to write books. I mean, the whole UFO topic out of Roswell created an industry. A whole industry, a tourist spot, books written on it, documentaries, 70, 80 years of investigative research from people. So it created literally an industry for UFO research and, UFO hunting and all these things. That's much better than telling everybody that, oh yeah, we were doing some horrific human violation experiments on people with diseases and
So
So
let me just finish out this paragraph here on his Wikipedia. They say other speculation focused. I love they use the word speculation. So they don't use the word on the Wikipedia, conspiracy theory. Like depending on who they're writing about, they will say, oh, some conspiracy theorists say, or some dark web nerds or something, they'll use certain words. But it's very interesting to note on this fellow's Wikipedia, they use the word speculation. So not to, throw it into the conspiracy bucket, not to, it's these kind of subtle uses of language, especially on Wikipedia, which let's say, has its own subsidiaries in Arlington, Virginia. The de facto book of truth for a very long time. So anyways, when it comes to this guy, and UFOs and directed energy weapons and space warfare and all that crazy stuff, they call it speculation. They don't call it conspiracy. So it tells us a little bit about his sort of positioning, how they want us to think of this guy. So other speculation focused on a relationship between McCasland and Michael Dugan, an Australian-American scientist with AFRL at Kirkland Air Force Base, New Mexico, who spent years of his Air Force career in research on UFO phenomena. Dugan was an assistant to J. Allen Hynek, an astronomer who led the Air Force's infamous Project Blue Book. One of the
Not to be mistaken from Blue Beam, by the way. It's a different thing.
Right. One of the first investigations of reported encounters with UFOs by the United States government. So this is the guy. This is the guy who has wandered off. Could it be some sort of, God forbid, some sort of UFO-related kidnapping?
He fell into the portal, I think is what happened.
Russian kidnapping? Is it is this an abduction?
It could be.
What is there, like I said, some sort of mind control at play? Or, I've mentioned in previous weeks, I am making my way through the just mind-obliteratingly long book, Atlas Shrugged. Is he just going away? Is he exiting society? Is he joining John Galt? I don't know. I'm only about halfway through the book. I don't know exactly what's going on in there, but I'm constantly, honestly freaked out at this point about how specific the events of Atlas Shrugged are to the daily events of being alive today. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe they're setting up an abduction narrative. Maybe the narrative is really going to be the thing. As this goes on, who knows? Is this going to be another Nancy Guthrie story where the news just locks onto it and reports on it and people start true crime podcasts as it's going? Or is this one going to fall by the wayside? I mean, the Daily Wire, I believe, started a Nancy Guthrie true crime podcast like a week into her disappearing, like to do it live, a live true crime podcast. I mean, how much better would one of those be if he's one of the most famous UFO disclosure advocates? I think it opens up a lot of narrative possibilities there.
It's fascinating. There's 3 sentences in the personal life section of the Wikipedia. It says, early in his Air Force career, McCasland married San Diego native Susan Wilkerson. He lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico. In 2024, United States presidential election, McCasland endorsed Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Personal life. What? Like
the whole personal life section.
I can see Trump being like, those Democrats, they have all the UFOs. Tell them to release the UFOs.
That's how you know that he's CIA. I mean, obviously, he's very clearly CIA, but that's how you know he's CIA when on his Wikipedia page, they will like very casually talk about how he's, basically in the CIA without saying he's in the CIA. Call it speculation about all his UFO stuff, his directed energy weapons, his this, his that. It's all in there all the craziest stuff about this guy is there, put very matter-of-factly, not, conspiratorially. And then his personal life section is 2 sentences. It's his wife.
He doesn't have kids. He doesn't have a family. Like what? He married someone. He lives in Albuquerque. Well, not anymore, apparently. And he voted for Kamala, or he endorsed Kamala in 2024. Are you saying he's in the CIA?
Well, they did already add a disappearance section.
They did.
Wikipedia, according to the Albuquerque Journal on Friday, February 27th, 2026, McCasland, 68, was reported missing by the New Mexico's Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office, who issued a silver alert. It is unknown what he is wearing or where he is heading to. BCSO spokesperson Deanna Aragon said in a news release, quote, due to his medical issues, law enforcement is concerned for his safety. On Sunday afternoon, Aragon said New Mexico Search and Rescue was assisting with the investigation. I wonder what his known medical issues are, because that was a big part of the Nancy Guthrie one was, oh my God, we're so afraid because she doesn't have her medication. She's in pain, or she has some sort of sickness or disease, and she needs her medication. The kidnappers didn't bring the medication with her. This is a huge part of it. I wonder.
Do you think he's maybe all these older folks, they're disappearing, but they're getting some kind of the genetic upgrade, and they're gonna hop back somewhere as a young buck, back in his 20s looking guy, and start a new life somewhere. Who knows?
Don't worry, everybody. I'm gonna ask Grok if we have his medical records.
Okay, all right. Let me know, Grok. Should I ask Claude? I'll ask Claude. You ask Grok. I'll ask Claude.
How do you spell his name? McCasland.
Yeah, McCasland. Yeah. Well, thankfully, Claude is no longer going to assist the United States military in, surveilling us and all these things. And Sam Altman stepped in happily to do that. That's another story we won't cover today. But let's see, McCasland.
All right. Rock says
medical
condition of retired Major General.
His medical condition is just retired. His medical condition is he's old.
Has not been publicly disclosed in any official reports or news coverage. And then it just gives me all this stuff. Come on. Maybe the aliens took him to make him better. I don't know.
Or they took him back. Maybe he was never human to begin with. We're at that point now. We're at that era.
Hope he's okay. Hope he just needed a little break and he's going on a little vacation by himself just to, clear his head and decide. I mean, see, we joke, but
also not.
Very seriously, not a joke. A guy like this, with his history
status
and his involvement and everything on the line, a guy like this mysteriously disappearing could be more than likely, a million different things, but you kind of have to assume it has something to do with his work or with his involvement. I just don't. It says he's currently the director of Applied Technology Associates, which means he's not known to, be. It's not like he has Alzheimer's. It's not like he's sundowning. It's not like he's got dementia. He's currently heading up a CIA cutout for UFO technology. They're not saying, oh, this guy, he kind of gets loopy sometimes and we hope he comes home.
Maybe it's a Cinderella situation. The blood moon is tonight, so maybe he's got to disappear before the blood moon because the human meat suit expires, and he's like, well, I can't, I'm sorry, wife.
Whatever it is, and we'll get into a little bit of Iran now, but yeah, you got to say the planetary parade on Saturday, the worm blood moon coming tonight, of course, operations going in Iran, which has the, intelligence agencies all fired up. He could just be on like some super special secret mission. Driving the UFO or something.
Maybe he got to finally get in one of the UFOs that he's been helping develop for
I don't know
30 years or something.
Maybe he does it every day. Maybe that's his thing. I don't want to assume that he's like finally getting to drive a UFO. He might be flying UFOs every day, all day. All right. Well, I think it'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye out for, not just this case or this guy, and we'll see if this disappears or see if there's some sort of follow-up on this. It'll be also very interesting to watch how the narrative ramifications of this, if his disappearance stays in the news, what is the narrative around it? What does it have to do with UFOs? What is it, or does it? Do they just ignore the UFO thing? Or, even outside of the mainstream, and maybe not even, if it's not about him, what kind of disclosure, UFO, UAP shenanigans start appearing over the next days or weeks or whatever? And is there some sort of connection there? I don't know. We'll keep our eyes open.
The Hillary Clinton angle, the John Podesta, they were always involved with the UFO topic, strangely enough, right? Because Hillary Clinton, there's that picture of her as a young woman speaking to a Rockefeller at the Rockefeller Ranch, and she's holding some UFO book. I forget which book it was, but maybe it was like a Carl Sagan book or something. And, it's all of these things connect in one way or another. We just don't know how exactly, but the Lord knows. Good thing we don't have to figure all this stuff out, because man, I mean, it's almost impossible. A part of it too, I'm sure, is to get people like us to really go into the rabbit hole of this dude and see what kind of stuff we can dig up. And I'm sure somebody will dig up something at some point in the next few days. But of course, it could just be a kidnapping, as simple as that, like a geopolitical kidnapping. He does have the directed energy weapons,
All right, we got to move on, Gonzo. We got to keep
the
show.
Okay,
it could be anything. We will see what happens. We'll keep an eye out. Okay, before we dive into the bigger stories, obviously here, I want to give a shout out to 970. I forget who put on the Denver meetup, but I got a text message from 970 who says, "Hey guys, welcome back. Denver had an awesome meetup of great folks." So we did have the Denver meetup on the 28th. So big shout out to all of the Denver area Canarians. Sounds like that meetup's great. When you guys have these meetups, feel free to send us an email and tell us how it went and what's going on.
You know what? Yeah. Go ahead, finish your... Sorry, I couldn't hear you. The audio cut out for a minute. I know that we got a message from the person that was doing the LA meetup over the weekend.
Yeah, so I changed that on the email, by the way. So there's the Northern California meetup, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but the Northern California meetup, this person, we are being more specific. This is a Humboldt County meetup. So real Northern California. This, I think it's Marty Not-Sir-K in Humboldt County putting on that meetup. You can get the information on the email list. It goes out. I think, do we have that on canarycrymeetups.com? We need to RSVP there. We should start listing all these people who want to do meetups but need RSVPs.
I was referencing Andy, who was going to do the meetup. Is it tomorrow? March 3rd? The Yuko Kitchen? Okay, that's tomorrow. I think we got an email from Andy saying that no one has RSVP'd yet for the LA.
Yeah, well, she wanted to know if you could go.
I know, and I don't think I can. I got to reply to that message. I know, one of these days I got to go to these things. But
cancel your plans. Go to the downtown. Los Angeles is a tough spot for Canarians. Obviously not the most Canary Cry friendly. However, for the Humboldt County meetup, the reason we had to be more specific is because Marty Not-Sir-K was getting a lot of responses from Bay Area Canarians. So if there's any Canarians listening in the Bay Area of California, you got Canarians around you. You guys could put your own little meetup together. Just somebody from the Bay Area. just send us an email. We'll let everybody know, because apparently there's a bunch of Bay Area Canarians who want to meet up. Big shout out to the Denver meetup people. God bless you. Hope you had a great time. And I want to take a second, Gons, and thank the executive producers who came in for the past 2 weeks.
Let's do it.
All right. We are value for value, folks. You know this. You won't get any advertisements, no sponsorships. There's not a cent keeps this show running that appears in transaction for any commoditization of your time, your trust. But we do have people like yourself. Everybody should, at one point in their life, become a producer of the show. It's very easy. You know how to do it. Go to CanaryCry.Support. Produce the show. The executive producers are people who come in for $100 or more for any individual episodes. And we had a nice list over the past 10 days or so, 14 days. And I want to thank them in no particular order. Going to start with thanking executive producer Sir Igorius Berrean of the Squatting Slavs.
Hey, Sir Igorius, thank you.
Yeah, he's back with a very generous, big round number. And for those who don't know, when you produce the show in any amount, if you come in with a round number, like on the 5 or the 10, that's you saying, please don't disclose the amount, okay? But if you don't mind us disclosing the amount, you put some funky numbers in there, put 33 cents on there, 1, 2, 3, 4, have some fun, 77, whatever. That'll tell us you don't mind us disclosing it. So thank you, Sir Igorius Berrean of the Squatting Slavs, executive producing the show, with a note that says, blessings, keep up the good work. Thank you, Sir Igorius. Great to have you back on the list.
Yep, appreciate it.
We had executive producer Rebecca T come in
for T, thank you.
12111 12111. Thank you very much.
1211111. Something like that.
Next up, we have the one, the only, the man on a mission, executive producer Sir LX Protocol V2 Berrean of the Berrean Protocol.
Thank you.
For $100 and 33 cents.
Illuminatus!
Now it's a big deal. He's on a 466 episode streak and a 120 episode executive producer streak.
Wow.
Which puts him 6 executive producerships away from his own and also the world record for executive producership streak. So he's going for it. He's at the 10. He's at the 5. He can go all the way. Next up, we have executive producer Sir Jamie, not the Lannister.
Sir Jamie, thank you very much.
Comes in with his weekly tithe. Thank you, Sir Jamie. God bless you, buddy. Next up, we got executive producer Michael B.
Michael B, thank you.
Yeah, Michael B comes in for $177.77 plus
777. Wow. Thank you.
A note here from Michael says, God bless you, Gons and Basil. God bless the Canary Cry family. All praise to the Most High. Amen.
Amen.
Last but not least, we had an anonymous executive producer come in for a round number and says, keep on, keep it on. Thank you, Anonymous.
Thank you, Anonymous.
There you go, folks. You can produce the show in any amounts. These are just our executive producers. They go a long, long way to keeping this show going. And CanaryCry.Support is the place to go. Speaking of which, I do want to give a very special shout out to Cage Rattler Coffee, CageRattlerCoffee.com. Go get it.
Coffee. I was not ready for that one. Sorry. You're going to have to give me a second as the wheel spins and the jingle loads.
Just okay. I got you, bro. No need to patter. Actually, this is what we should do more content on: describing the images we see on our screen that other people can't see. This is some next level content.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
That's right. Go to Cage Rattler Coffee. This is coffee for producers of the show, by producers of the show. And I say it all the time and I'll say it again. It's the best coffee I've had. We constantly get messages from people about how great this coffee is. It is sourced from all over the world. I can't even list all the places it's from now, but if you're not a coffee person like me, let the coffee people, like other people, tell you where all the good coffee comes from, and that's where all the beans come from here. And it's sourced and roasted all in little tiny batches specifically for Canarians, and it's excellent. You got to go get it. You can get your Nephilim Hunter Dark Roast, your Emu Wrangler Medium Roast. They even have a Coffee of the Month Club, and you can get your little sampler pack as well, so you can see what the best kind of caffeine delivery method is for you. Keep your eyes open, let the veil fall, and it makes the illusion crumble before your eyes every single morning. It's really a very special feeling, and a portion of each bag goes to support the show. It's very, very special. And if you're a Canarian, you really shouldn't be drinking any other coffee, because there's other big coffee companies which we are all no doubt guilty of supporting. First of all, they hate us and everything we believe in, but also all that coffee is all moldy and bad. It's been sitting in warehouses. It's not a good thing, folks.
My wife had some coffee from South America hand delivered to us. So I made some espresso with it the other day, and I was a little excited. I'm like, hey, hand delivered coffee from South America. And I got to tell you, Canary, the Cage Rattler coffee is much better, much better, and that's an honest
thing. I mean,
I'm not even joking.
And this is we highly recommend that the parallel economy. Look, folks, we know this battle is spiritual. This battle is also economic, which is also spiritual.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, and
economic
what
is spiritual.
we do, these sort of little minor choices about how we spend the money or move the value or the energy that God gives us, the resources that he allows us to sort of steward while we are here on earth, is all very important. It's all very sort of spiritually powerful. And I heartily recommend, to put it very lightly, that we pay more and more attention about how we move economically through this world. And the great part is that Cage Rattler Coffee, not only does it support the show, but it supports other producers of the show and their families. These are your brothers and your sisters, and we should, at every opportunity, keep a focus on the people that God has put in our regiment here on earth. So there you go.
I encourage others, if you have something that you want to sort of label with the Canary Cry brand, come talk to us, because we encourage you to do that, and we'll support you, and people will support that, and then that supports us, and it's a perfect flywheel. But not enough people tap in.
We either do it now on purpose, or we're going
to be forced to do
it. Like when it's time, the CBDC comes, and you're either taking the mark and you're getting in the programmable money system, and that's just kind of the end of any freedom. Or we start now and make sure that our fellow Canarians are set for when things go sideways.
So say no to Beast Coffee.
Say no to Beast Coffee. All right, let's get back to the news here, Gons. Of course, the big news over the weekend: World War III has begun.
World War III. We can fight the Third World War down there.
Operation Epic Fury.
You know what? A lot of people have a lot of things to complain about the Trump administration. I surely have lots of things to complain about the Trump administration, but branding has always been their strength.
Yes,
Operation Midnight Hammer, Operation Epic Fury. I mean, there's something very patriotic about a truly hardcore operation name. And I'm not saying I'm above the sort of manipulation of patriotic language, because it works.
Operation War on Your Seat. I mean, Warp Speed.
Whoa, good one. Gons, good one. All right, Operation Epic Fury. Surely by now, unless you live under a rock, you kind of get the gist. The military operations in Iran. Let's start. We got a clip here from General Dan Caine. We did this with the Venezuela operation, and I very much enjoyed it. So let's give this sort of official explanation from General Dan Caine.
On February 28th, the full strength of America's armed forces came together in a unified purpose against a capable and determined adversary. The United States Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, and our reserve components integrated across our combatant commands and began coordinated operations with the Israeli armed forces of an unprecedented scale. As the Secretary laid out, our military objectives are clear. Our mission is to protect and defend ourselves and, together with our regional partners, prevent Iran from the ability to project power outside of its borders and be ready for follow-on actions as appropriate. Across every domain, land, air, sea, cyber, the U.S. Joint Force delivered synchronized and layered effects designed to disrupt, degrade, deny, and destroy Iran's ability to conduct and sustain combat operations. On the U.S. side, this marked the culmination of months and in some cases years of deliberate planning and refinement against this particular target set. From precision strikes against key military infrastructure to persistent intelligence and targeting integration to the close coordination of the components across vast distances, this operation again demonstrated America's reach, readiness, and professionalism, and that of our joint united force. It was historic not only in the operational scope, but in the level of joint integration displayed across every element of the joint force. And as I said earlier, this work is just beginning and will continue.
It's just beginning, will continue.
There's some lines in there that were, I think, verbatim the Venezuela announcement.
Yes, thank you. So that was the big thing that jumped out at me. Now, this was a much longer and larger presentation he gave, but this little clip, the messaging is very consistent. And the messaging is full spectrum dominance, synchronized and layered effects, which is
years of planning. That was
kind of political military speak to say, yeah, we used the space lasers, we used the cyber, we used the discombobulator, we did all the things. Even AI, you know, there's some drama with AI and Anthropic, and it's not very interesting. However, I believe the reporting is saying even though the Department of War dropped Anthropic because Anthropic doesn't want them using, you know, autonomous kill bots and full scale.
Claude is American. Let's go. Claude is the Constitution.
Claude apparently was used in this operation.
He
as
was.
well.
I know. He didn't like
it. This was a big thing with the Venezuela operation. So, you know, you've got the full spectrum dominance, the synchronized, you know, military, what are they called? I don't know, you know, synchronized and layered effects. You've got Space Force, Navy, you got everybody involved working in just this inhuman, almost robotic synchronization to take out the targets. Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Which I will say, okay, now look, I know we are all fighting a battle. We are all fighting a fifth generation ideological battle for our minds and our souls. And part of this battle is trying very, very hard to not get absolutely thunderously, uproariously pumped about how cool the American military is. I get it. I fight this battle as well, but they certainly have the speech writers working overtime to make it sound very impressive. Now, for those who haven't been monitoring the situation, the first 24 hours of the operation took out about 1,000 different military installations in Iran. And of course, it did take out at least a dozen individual leaders, various leaders in various parts of the government, including the supreme leader, Khomeini, or Khomeini. There's many different ways we're supposed to.
That's how I've heard.
Yeah, and which is a pretty big deal. I mean, it's just objectively a pretty big deal. Whether it is true or not, it's a fun announcement for them to make. And Iranian Americans are losing their minds. And it's therefore making the mainstream media absolutely lose their minds. There were marches by Iranian or Persian Americans, as many of them like to be called, in many major cities, Washington, D.C. Most surprisingly, a pretty major pro-Trump march in L.A. And there's clips here and there of reporters for ABC, NBC, CBS, is that what it is? Yeah. Of reporters sort of reluctantly reporting on what generally amounts to mostly non-Trump lovers, non-Trump voters, especially deep in LA, coming together and not just like celebrating the death of the supreme leader, but like holding "Thank you, President Trump" signs. Now, almost certainly there's some level of I guess planning and coordination with the US government would certainly want to encourage and give the impression that Persian Americans, Iranian Americans are in full support of this, especially in midterms. There's a lot of politics getting played here. But there does seem to be a pretty genuinely enthusiastic response by, at the very least, the Persians and Iranians who live in America. But this does beg the question, Gans, because it is impossible not to think, hey, didn't Trump say that we weren't going to go to war in Iran? Didn't he like specifically say that
there's tweets going back like 13 years where he's talking about Obama's going to start a war in Iran and he's going to start World War III and all this kind of stuff. There's
a tweet from 2011, though. I mean, who cares? We all tweeted stuff in 2011 that that don't count anymore, that we don't necessarily think. But, as recently as like the election, his election, saying we're not going to get into wars. I think stupid, endless wars or something. Now, of course, the key word there is like stupid or endless, because of course, lots of pushback, even from people who would formerly call themselves Trump supporters. Like, hey, what are you doing? This is not what we voted for. This is not what we're into.
Hey, guess what? A politician lied to the public. Hey, hey.
Yeah, right. Or and also, many other things. We have
the thing that he said he wasn't gonna do. Wow.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
So, the real fear is, oh boy, is this our next 20 years? Now, I think it's interesting his previous military operations, just in the past year, there was Venezuela, took about 6 hours.
This year, it's been barely been 3 months, and we've had all kinds of. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, it's Venezuela, but I'm including in June of last year Operation Midnight Hammer. Dropping the whatever it was, 16 bombs on the same manhole cover to whatever.
Well, I thought we destroyed all the nuclear programs over there. That's what we were told, right?
Well, we destroyed their biggest one, but that's so we've got this interesting thing here where you can't really deny that as far as this term for Trump, he has set a precedent that when he takes military action, it's over quick and it's successful. I don't think he would have been able to try to pull this off if he had not already impressed everyone with these sort of impressively decisive and short-term and successful military operations, Midnight Hammer and Venezuela. But here's a little clip from him. He's asked here in the reporter pool, is this going to be the rest of a whole generation's existence? He had this to say.
And we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it, whatever Somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now. I guarantee you that, to go through what I had to go through.
What did he have to go through?
So, getting 34 felonies for a crime that you shouldn't have, the whole thing, all the things.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting because I could see how on one hand, somebody would listen to that and go, yeah, we don't get bored. We're going to do the mission. It's going to be awesome. But on the other hand, he's like, yeah, we're planning for 4 to 5 weeks. But whatever, we'll just go as long as we need. We won't get bored. We'll just keep going.
We could keep it going for much longer. We know that, Trump.
I know.
We know that. I mean, how long were we in Afghanistan? 8 years, 9 years?
Longer? Say 20 years.
Well, it depends on how you define. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Iraq, we were in there for 20. Yeah, so I mean, come on. This is
and you do need to be. Let's also be clear. He doesn't. The worst impression that he could give Iran right now is that he can't do this for long, or that he doesn't want to do it for long. Strategically speaking, he doesn't want to sound like he's nervous and he can't go a long time. So, this sort of relaxed, like, oh yeah,
that was chill Trump, right? That's like I kind of thought tired Trump at first, but I think it's more like,
oh, this is chill Trump.
I'm chill. Yeah.
That's the scariest Trump. The scariest version of Trump is when he's like super laid back like this and says, whatever, I'll do whatever I need. We'll be there forever. I don't care. So yeah, you got to take all those things into account. The track record says that it'll be quick, but certainly giving the impression that he's down to do it, whatever. And of course, we all know, especially when you put this in conjunction with the Venezuela takeover, the ceasing of black market oil, going to Russia, going to China. China lost a significant supply of oil with the Venezuela thing. Iran is like another 40% of China's oil. So you got to look at the thing in the broad scope, which is it's very, at least in one way, this is really just a blow to the economy of China, etc.
Yeah, well, all the stuff is breaking right now today as well with the Straits of Hormuz, and there's stuff going on. We don't necessarily have to cover it all, but we realize that a lot of things are happening right now.
It's a bigger thing.
It's a bigger thing. Yeah,
it's not. It's maybe a little bit about the nukes. It's maybe that's a bonus, but really, there is a way to look at it, and it's really funny because I get it. The nuanced approach to Trump and the nuanced approach to this stuff really triggers some people who have lots of things to say about me and the way I talk about Trump. I get it. Take a breath.
How do you feel now, Basil?
We can have.
What are you gonna?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a way to look at this, and maybe the nuke thing's not even really that big of a deal. We did take out a bunch of their missile stuff. Were they gonna make a bomb tomorrow, like Netanyahu says? Probably not. However,
Netanyahu's been saying that they're a week away from nuclear weapons for like 35 years.
Yeah,
or something.
every
So
week
it's
for
like.
30 years.
And then you know what really gave it away that it's happening like this week was JD Vance. I don't know if when Bibi was visiting, he like dropped his playbook and Vance picked it up and decided to go with it and just do the Bibi Netanyahu press conference. But I don't know, we don't have the clip, but he stood up there and said, Iran's about to make nukes. And it was like, oh boy, here we go. This is,
of course,
it must be getting real close, because if JD Vance is towing the line, it must be really on the.
The nuke thing is the what do they call it? The casus belli, the cause for war, is the nuke thing. So, it's kind of like, look, we all know the nuke thing is just an excuse. Now, cutting off 40% of China's oil, that could have some pretty significant effects on the future, future confrontations with China, and maybe not even military confrontations, economic confrontations with China. All the tariff stuff, the negotiations, the blah, 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 blah. China holding all the minerals hostage so we can't make all our cool missiles and et cetera, et cetera. Cutting off 40% of the oil supply of China, or if not cutting it off, taking control of it, putting in a leader of Iran who is, let's say, obedient, I guess, to America.
Yeah.
I could see in somebody's idea, somebody, in the Trump administration or the deep states or the whatever Illuminati might say, yeah, this is a good thing. We take control of Iran's oil and we stop war with China. That's a really cool thing. Let's just keep.
Are we talking about the new Silk Road, the Belt and Road Initiative? that's part of the whole thing.
Oh yeah, no, don't forget
we
about
covered that over the years.
Don't forget about the Belt and Road Initiative, which is again kind of the grand scale, decades long
supply chain warfare. It's just
right. Supply chain warfare.
Yeah. Well, Trump did say
we will launch a new age.
They launched a lot more than that. I found this clip from a long time ago, Basil. Do you remember this one?
I call it the super duper missile. Incredible.
The super duper missile. That was a little foreshadowing of what we got today. I mean, that was a little teaser. It was the trailer to what we have now, the main event. So
that and the discombobulator.
The discombobulator was more recent, but that whole super duper thing, wasn't that his first presidency? I'm pretty sure that was the 2016 to 2020 era.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very old. It's not new, but there we go. That's why we got to dig up all the old jingles. So there you go. There's a lot. Look, we're not going to get too deep into every aspect of should we, shouldn't we, what's the deal, blah blah blah, because to some degree it's not actually the most interesting part of the entire operation, Cons. One thing that is very interesting is the timing of the
yes, the timing is biblical.
It's got to be biblical.
This is CNN, good old CNN, trying to get back some credibility here. Headline on February 28th, timing of U.S.-Israel attack on Iran bears symbolic meaning in Judaism, as Netanyahu references holiday of Purim. It says here the timing of the U.S. and Israeli attack on Iran bears symbolic meaning in Judaism. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu referenced the upcoming holiday of Purim in his first statement. Quote, 2,500 years ago in ancient Persia, a tyrant rose against us, with the very same goal, to utterly destroy our people, the Spanish people. Netanyahu said of the story, which takes place in what is now Iran. Quote, today as well on Purim, a lot has fallen, and in the end, this evil regime will fall too. Netanyahu frequently references religious events or symbols in his statements. Thank you, CNN, for telling us that. I appreciate CNN recognizing that there are religious references to a lot of these war things. Ahead of the upcoming Jewish holiday, worshipers read a specific portion of the New Testament known as Zachor. The passage from the book of Deuteronomy commands the ancient Israelites to remember an unprovoked attack by the nation of Amalek, located in modern-day Sinai and southern Israel, and to eradicate the memory of Amalek once the Israelites are settled in their land. The passage is read publicly before Purim to fulfill what Jews consider the mitzvah, or commandment, of remembering Amalek as Israel's archetypal enemy. Archetypalism. Amalek is often referenced as an historical enemy of the Jewish people, and Netanyahu invoked it shortly after October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel. And yes, so CNN recognizing the religious symbology of it all. And of course, the historical basis of Purim. They reference Deuteronomy, but of course, the book of Esther really commemorates the deliverance of the Jewish people in ancient Persia. The whole genocidal decree of Haman. The book of Esther is really interesting because it's I think it's the only book in the Bible that does not reference or mention God, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct on that, Basil? I'm pretty sure that's a thing. If I'm maybe someone in the
Say
chat.
that again?
The book of Esther is the only book in the Bible where God is not mentioned.
Interesting. I am
Yeah.
not aware of that.
I'm pretty sure I've heard that before, and maybe someone in the chat can either confirm or debunk that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. And the celebration, the mourning turns to celebration in Esther. That's chapter 9, verse 22. And of course, this pattern has survived over the years and has been used for all kinds of warfare throughout the centuries, especially in the last century since the return of the modern nation state of Israel. And, there's a bigger conversation here with taking biblical things, or not even just biblical. You can argue holy scriptures of all kinds, and you can include the Quran in this, taking like one or two lines or maybe a few things or maybe a memorable account, a story, and superimposing it as justification for modern day contemporary violence.
Well,
and
Midnight Hammer too happened really close to Shavat, I think.
Yes, yeah. So this is, it's interesting because it mixes traditional religious holidays and they sort of mystify them in a way, or use the energies or something, the way they look at it, to carry out this agenda. And of course, we're going to talk about some of the alignments with the planets and all this kind of stuff, and the blood red moon tonight as another sort of astrological energies aligning for this type of move. So this doesn't surprise any of us here, I don't think, but it's an interesting way it's interesting that CNN is recognizing it and reporting on it, even though it's sort of a crude, surface area reporting of it. And, but again, the greater picture here of using holy scriptures to justify violence. The Crusaders did it, or the Crusades, I guess, in the, the early, 1,000 years ago or so. Yeah, I mean, they would use scriptures to kind of justify the whole idea of defending Jerusalem, and
scriptures, but they
use scripture to the Catholic Church.
We got to do this attack on Christmas or something.
Right. There's always stuff there, and even if you talk to Muslims, a lot of Muslims will even say like, we don't like the Ayatollah, for example. They will use, or the terrorist groups or some of these more fringe groups out there that are the Islamic terror groups, they will also use the Quran, or more often they'll use commentary of the Quran as justification for modern day violence. Yeah,
well, of course. I mean, that's justification is one thing, but I think it's a kind of it's something else in my view.
That's what I'm saying. This is moving into a newer.
No. I get using scripture to justify anything. It's a very common practice, but I think there's something else to aligning major operations with, like you say, these sort of you might
celestial
holidays, or things like that. There's in the sort of broad elite group, the elite class, the billionaire class, the ruling class, where they really do things on this sort of astrological schedule. And even before this operation started, I think we brought the article to the show where it was like, well, Trump's running out of time because you can't fly B-2 bombers during a full moon, and there's going to be a full moon soon, so he either has to attack now or he won't be able to attack until the middle of March. Which we read that and we go, what a funny thing to put into the mainstream. What a funny way to tip your hand to the enemy. Your mainstream media saying, oh, Trump, he can't fly the B-2s on a full moon because then you can. Well, turns out this was a daytime operation anyways. It was like this funny like weird astrological commentary saying like, oh, don't worry, Iran, we can't fly our super special planes on a full moon, so you're safe on the full moon. And then it turns out they come in for a daytime operation. didn't need the stealth bombers in the way that they would have needed before. So it is very interesting. But this weekend has some very serious also astrological things.
Yeah. So there is a common quote that is attributed to J.P. Morgan from back in like the early 1900s, I think 1912, 1913, where he said, allegedly, I believe the quote was sort of made popular in the 80s, but the quote is, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. That was allegedly what J.P. Morgan said about 100 years ago. And maybe, in the modern era, you can even push that further and say, millionaires barely have enough money to make it. Billionaires don't use astrology or the occult. Trillionaires do, type of thing, where the elite, we have all these characters that are actors and scapegoats for our own justification for whatever, whether it be a President Trump or a whoever, a Netanyahu, Ayatollah, all these individuals who are the faces of these different nations, these organizations. But we know, as people that follow the scriptures, we know that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So there's a spiritual aspect to this. And to that effect, there are individuals that are behind the scenes who are not out in the open, who are not the public figures, who probably have had AI type of technology for a little while, who probably have mapped out all sorts of plans over the decades and maybe perhaps generations. And they certainly believe that there is some significance to aligning certain events to certain celestial events and timing it all together. It makes me wonder. I hearken back to who's the one of the political guys he's a Republican, but he was very upset a couple weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago. Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham came out and he looked all defeated after a long meeting with Trump. That he was like, "Oh, Trump doesn't want to drop bombs on Iran," and he was very upset about it. And of course, the timing of when it. What was that?
Iran great again hat.
Right. Yeah, that whole situation. And he was upset that Trump wasn't going to drop the bombs on Iran when he wanted to, and we need to do it, and yada, yada. And it makes me think, of course, Lindsey Graham is a low-level peon in this hierarchy of the elite. And so he's not going to understand the astrological significance of waiting until Purim and the planetary alignments and the blood moon and all this kind of stuff. But maybe he knows now. But there are some things going on here.
There we go. I think we should start with the NASA one here because it happened on the 28th.
Okay.
So on February 28th, we're over here at nasa.gov, okay, which we all trust explicitly, and everything
the serpent tongue logo is telling us the truth.
So we all listen to NASA.
Yeah, nasa.gov here. This is the blog over at NASA. Most notable 2026 astronomical events. A year of watching the skies. Hey, look at that. NASA sky watching. What do you know? This year we'll be busy.
I think maybe just start at the February 28th section there.
Okay, yeah. February 28th. The Planetary Parade. It's a parade. It's a party, everybody. Whoever made this graphic did not do a good job of editing because you can see some outlines of the planets there. On February 28th, we will not see one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 planets in the evening sky. Mercury, Venus, Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, and Jupiter will appear shortly after sunset. 4 of those planets will be visible to the unaided eye, weather permitting, but only those with optical assistance will be able to view Uranus and Neptune. Mercury can sometimes be harder to spot too. So there you go. You got
the day of the bombs
planets, the day of the bombs. It was perfectly aligned to carry out the big boom booms on Iran there. So
talk about a planetary parade. So I mean, a pretty major astronomical event there, very interestingly aligning with the operation that could have happened anytime, any day.
Lindsey Graham wanted it to happen a month earlier, but Lindsey Graham, you got to sit down, bud. We have it all planned out for when the stars align, Lindsey Graham, then we'll do it, and sure enough.
So
I'm looking for this graphic. There's a video that somebody posted that showed sort of the alignments. I'm looking for that while you talk here. So Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was gonna jump over to the almanac link here. Actually, no, sorry. Let's do the space. We'll do space.com.
Space.
You know, you're going, okay, all right. We got the planetary parade on the 28th. That's when they start the operation. Pretty intense. What a coincidence. And there's currently this question, the big question dominating the media, the big question dominating even the online spaces, the big question dominating pretty much everybody's mind up front is, oh boy, how long is this going to be? Is this another endless 20-year war? Is this that? When's it going to end? Well, in the handful of, impressive astrological events, which we're kind of get a feeling that they plan things around. There's another one coming up, space.com, a total lunar eclipse will turn the full moon blood red for over 3 billion people tonight. Tonight, the full moon will slip into Earth's darkest shadow during a total lunar eclipse and create a stunning blood moon. This will take place in early hours of March 3rd for skywatchers in the US. So make sure you set your alarm. This is always the tough part about, the elites planning everything through astrological terms. If it's just a lunar eclipse in the US, does that count for ending the operation in Iran, or does it need to be a lunar eclipse in Iran? I don't know. Who knows? Lunar eclipses. Yes, we know what a lunar eclipse was. You know what? One of the things people are loving about this, I mean, blood moon, first of all, very relevant astrological event when it comes to, people who pay attention to biblical prophecy.
Joel 2, bro. Joel 2.
Blood moon, pretty big deal. I remember when I was like maybe 12 was the first time I saw blood moon. And having grown up in the church and having grown up specifically in a church that pays attention to biblical prophecy, I saw my first blood moon and went, oh my gosh, it's happening.
It's all ending tonight.
I remember it so vividly.
Jesus is coming
driving
back
in
tonight.
the car, like looked out the moonroof of the car and saw it up there and was just quiet thinking, oh no, I wonder if anybody else knows that coming back tonight. Anyways, very fun and interesting detail about this blood moon. Space.com says when to look. The best time to look at the total lunar eclipse will be at 6:33 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 3rd during the peak of totality.
Eastern time.
Sits in the deepest part of the Earth's shadow. Yes, very interesting. I saw some other reporting on this blood moon, and they were reporting it in Pacific Standard Time. I wonder why space.com reported it in Eastern Time, because those Americans who have already done the math, if you're in California or the West Coast, the blood moon will be best observed at 3:33 a.m.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
Yes, on March 3rd, which is 3-3. Yes, there's a lot of threes lining up there.
And you know what I love about the AM, the fact that it's in the morning, is that even if you count it on military time, it's 3:33 a.m. If it was 3:33 in the afternoon, you could say military time. That's technically, 15:33? Boring. It's straight up 3:33 a.m. on March 3rd, blood moon, lunar eclipse. But that's not all, Gons, because almanac.com gives us a little bit more insight into this particular blood moon. And it says, the worm blood moon.
What?
Full moon in 2026. The full worm moon reaches its peak on the morning of Tuesday, March 3rd at 6:38 a.m. Eastern Time.
The worm?
Worm.
6:38. What is this? Almanac?
That's
misdirection.
It goes on. This year's
Liars.
March moon is especially notable because it coincides with a lunar eclipse. The eclipse reaches its greatest point at 6:33 a.m. Eastern Time, just minutes earlier. And during totality, the moon can take on a coppery or red tone.
my children want to see this, so I'm going to set the alarm here for the morning. And
it could be worse. Yeah, setting an alarm for 3:33, it could be worse.
Well, it wouldn't be 3. I would have to do it before then because I gotta, I gotta drag him out of bed, and and then what if I can't get him back to sleep?
So a full moon, specifically a full moon in March, is called a worm moon. And I had this. Oh, try to look up worm moon on Wikipedia. In fact, don't, because it's not there. It just redirects you to full moon. Let me see, maybe Grok can give us some answers.
You love Grok. All right, Claude, give me the.
It's just the easiest one. I have X pulled up. So why is it called a worm?
Yeah, why is it called a worm moon? That's a good question.
I know what a worm moon is, but what is its origin? You got to be specific with this guy, or else he's just going to copy paste the thing I already read. All right. The name worm moon for March's full moon originates from Native American traditions, particularly those of tribes in the northeastern and Great Lakes regions, and such as the Algonquin tribes, whose moon naming conventions heavily influenced the names popularized by early European settlers. The names were practical ways to mark the seasons. Okay, the worm in worm moon refers to the reappearance of worm-like creatures as winter ends and the ground thaws.
I'm seeing here that it's more practical. There's no mystical meaning, according to Claude there.
Claude he's very
straightforward. He's more practical. He says that it's earthworms emerging as soil thaws, or beetle larvae appearing in tree bark at the end of winter, symbolizing the transition from winter to spring.
I don't know.
That's all. Don't worry. Hey, Dad, you wormicorn conspiracy theorists, get out of here.
Worms and beetles are crawling out of every surface. I mean, that's pretty ominous, if you ask me.
Super ominous.
Now,
the worms coming out, start worshiping the moon. That's weird, man.
For people who've been in this sort of Christian skeptical community, biblical prophecy community, well, instantly sort of have a reminiscence at the phrase worm blood moon. Immediately I thought it had something to do with wormwood.
That's what I thought too.
Another sort of biblical astrological event that signals all sorts of nasty things. So who knows? Maybe it's wormwood, worm blood moon, but pretty serious business. Best case scenario, they finish off whatever they're doing in Iran by 3:33 in the morning.
Isn't this the Islamic symbol, the crescent moon? Aren't they a lunar based?
Well, I have not recently done the digging on this, but the theory goes that Allah is
a moon god or something.
The contemporary sort of manifestation or mythology of the Sumerian moon god.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't speak authoritatively on that, but that's what.
Well, we know the Zoroastrians used the moon as sort of a deity or some kind of mystical reference prior to Islam, well before Islam. So maybe there's something there, but we'll find out soon.
Or we could get a hot tub in the moon base.
You did do some digging in some old jingles, didn't you?
I mean, hey, look, maybe Bitcoin will pump too. Maybe Bitcoin is a worm,
So there's obviously some implications outside of the sort of mainstream media coverage of this. And you get into the blood moon, you get into the worm blood moon, you get into the astronomical events, and sort of, I don't know, prophecy Twitter is popping off all over.
Well, it doesn't help, Basil. I've been complaining to my local friends and sort of church folk. I brought up the other day, I was having conversations with fellow people at my church, and I said, have you guys looked up recently? Because I don't think we've had a natural cloud in the sky for years. I'm talking years. And this morning I was dropping off the kids at the school, and for those of you watching, you will see that they're painting the clouds this morning, and from where I was driving, there just happened to be a square and compass right there, like right over where I live. And I mean, it's pretty obvious. How is that not a square and compass, Basil? Do you see that? You got the V going through the other V, and it's, it's
angels are all there, man.
I mean, whatever they're planning to do around here, we better, when I wake up tonight at 3:00 in the morning and drag my children out to see a red moon for 30 seconds and then try to get them back to sleep, I will be praying a hedge of protection over everybody, 'cause I don't, whatever occult energies are trying to extract from us. Not today, Satan.
Always good advice, Gonzo.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of using biblical prophecy as a sort of, I don't know, an excuse or a platform or I don't know, just all the things happening, the Middle East, the tensions, the wars.
Say the psyop part of it. This is
that's
the
what I was
going
to say. The psyop part of it.
Part
Yes.
about being a biblical prophecy enthusiast is and this is fairly new. I feel like, we've moved into this modern era where everybody, Christianity has had a sort of resurgence in popular culture. The Nephilim, the obscure bits of Christianity are more popular than ever.
Everybody knows about the Nephilim now.
And it's, I would say, even more, I guess, ominous than ever to look around and go, oh, this could so easily be used the wrong way. And we have to have this sort of like defensive, shall I say, iron dome helmet substantiating salvation. To kind of bring down the psyop missiles when it comes to biblical prophecy. Or who knows, maybe they're right and we're wrong, Guns. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the psyop part of it, it does feel newer because of the cultural shift. But I think at least for me on the Face Like the Sun channel, I've always been very weary of, it wasn't just, I guess at the beginning it was like, I disagree with maybe certain types of interpretations of eschatology and biblical prophecy and stuff like that. But now that the world has caught up to these things, now you can see the psyop clearer, I would say, if you want to put it that way.
Psyops.
And we'll start with John Hagee here. Of course, John Hagee wrote a very popular book about the blood red moons, and he's very pro-Israel. I mean, he does not have a sermon without the Star of Rentham somewhere on the stage, or a flag or something floating around. He gave this prayer. We'll play part of it here, and he sort of gave his commentary on the Iran situation. And behind him, he's on the stage. He's reading from his little podium there and speaking from the podium. And behind him is a graphic, this giant graphic that reads, "God's coming, Operation Epic Fury." And to the left of the words, "God's coming, Operation Epic Fury," is an American flag that a very light American flag that becomes a very bold modern Israeli flag with the 6-pointed star there. And of course, I don't know, like an overlay of a merchant, not a merchant ship, what are they called?
Battleship.
Battleship. Thank you. And then on the other side is the Iranian flag there. So that's the backdrop where John Hagee here is providing his commentary of the situation.
It's like a podcast thumbnail. It's like
it is. It's very provocative.
It's not very reminiscent of any churches that I've been to. I mean, they've really, the graphics guy is really having a lot of fun there.
Well, they got AI now to use that stuff. So
God bless you, Mr. President, for being a friend of Israel. God bless you for having the courage to do what others feared to do. God bless our fighting forces in the Middle East in the brilliant execution God bless our forces in the Middle East in the brilliant execution of Operation Epic Fury. Today we will discover in Bible prophecy that God has an Operation Fury. He has planned for Iran and Russia in the near future. Stay tuned in the television audience. Let's read Psalms 122, 6 through 9. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Peace be within your walls, prosperity within your palaces. For the sake of my brethren and companions, I will now say peace be unto you. Because of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. Can we pray together?
He gets into the prayer there. I don't think we necessarily have to play the prayer unless you think it's important. Is there anything important in there, Basil, that you would like to?
I wasn't particularly. It's just sort of his opening prayer to getting into the sermon there.
Yeah. So I was always not since 2015 or so. I have been very critical of this brand of Christianity in America, and as obviously it's because, and especially eschatology, because it's so geopolitical. It's like you've even got the flags here, and everything is hinged upon a geopolitical message. And look, it's their fellow brethren, so I'm not going to get too riled up about it, even though I have in the past. But it just rubs me the wrong way, Basil, personally. I feel like the scriptures are much bigger than just supporting some geopolitical mission of Trump or whoever, so.
Well, it's a very American thing. I mean, this is a very sort of strictly American version of Christianity, and I wouldn't even necessarily say version, but it is, of course, it touches on all the sort of nuanced questions that you're not really allowed to ask.
Yeah.
But it is this very particular, like you said, geopolitical Christianity, which is sort of very engaged, very invested, and very involved with politics, just straight up.
Straight politics, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not even against necessarily like being a political person who's Christian. I mean, politics is everything in life. Our Christianity should affect our politics, and it does in so many, innumerable ways. Domestically, of course, the things that affect our daily lives, the laws and the habits of our culture. But then you zoom out to kind of this gigantic geopolitical thing. And look, I grew up in it was just sort of assumed that it was, part of our Christianity was supporting the geopolitics
of Israel.
Whether it's Israel, Israel, obviously a big part of it, but also, America's enemies in the Middle East, God's on our side, and the Muslims don't love God, and so that's just generally part of the politics that we celebrate at church. It's been sort of a I'm thinking of going to church in like the 90s, early 2000s. It's just assumed that this was, I didn't even really realize that it could be anything else until I got into late high school or college. But it's the aesthetics of it are very interesting, especially when there's a make sure to stay tuned to our television audience.
Well, that's part of the issue, isn't it? That a dude like Hagee, I mean, how many millions of dollars has he either made for Israel or accepted money from Israel? I mean, I've seen some evidence out there. I haven't done all the deep diving. I'm not going to make any accusations here, but there's some. Yeah, I know. There's some stuff there that and the thing that really bothers me, I guess, is that you read the Bible cover to cover, you really dive into who Jesus is and his message. And I just don't see really anything about geopolitically supporting something, mean, he taught us to love our enemies. He taught us to show mercy over judgment, to be peacemakers, to rebuke the sword, to endure voluntarily suffering over violence, and those are sort of
about that.
Yeah, that was kind of his message. And what he's not saying here is God is behind those big bombs dropping on those, innocent people.
That's the difference between Old Testament and New Testament guns, because the Bible is full of geopolitics.
It is. You're right.
The Old Testament, while not 100%, the whole Bible is very important to remember that it all happens in the backdrop of geopolitics.
Of course.
The New Testament, it's very important to understand the geopolitics of the Romans and the Israelites, and place this in history of the world dominating campaign of the Romans, and it gives the context of the Zealots and gives context to the Messiah that the Jews were waiting for, were praying for, which in their case, I mean, this was part of what was so difficult for the ministry of Jesus, is that the Israelites were waiting for a military Messiah. They needed, they were waiting for a guy who would come and conquer geopolitically and get the Romans out of there, lead an army,
or the Babylonians or whoever. That's just throughout history.
Yeah, well, New Testament was the Romans, but then you go to the Old Testament, and Old Testament, you got book after book of God, making sort of geopolitical commands of his people. And so, that's the interesting thing. The Old Testament is very much the well-being and even the obedience of God's people in the Old Testament is specifically geopolitical. But then we get into the New Testament, and we know that there's obvious delineation between the New Testament and Christianity and the Old Testament and Judaism. And this is like a core difference in like the foundation of how they think of themselves and their relation to God. But we're Christians. We are New Testament dudes. Like, the geopolitics was the thing that hardened the hearts of many of the Israelites against Jesus. And it's pretty explicit how sort of framing our entire spiritual life around geopolitics and waiting for God to intervene geopolitically misses the whole point of Christ's ministry. So, it's one thing, it makes a ton of sense that Judaism would be so very geopolitically, the salvation of the Jewish people is very geopolitical and has been since the beginning. But for Christians, New Testament, Bible-believing, Christ-following Christians, that was like one of the primary breaking points, in the New Testament was, no, your salvation is not geopolitically. Or it's geopolitical. No, your salvation does not come in the form of political or military.
Propaganda Rooster says you're spitting propaganda, Basil.
No, he's yelling about something. I'm trying to get through it. Yeah, thank you for holding off as long as you could with that. But I mean, I think it answers a lot of. It's almost too easy of an answer, too blatant of an answer.
He really has got an issue over there.
Yeah, he's a Zionist rooster, That's
Zionist rooster.
That's what I'm saying. The rooster doesn't like it when I spit facts,
Zionist rooster.
That's why the rooster crows. He's got to get his propaganda into the show when we're getting too close to the truth.
I will sort of add, I guess, to your point. I'm in agreement with your point, but I would add, as sort of I guess I don't know, as a person who came from or has built a lot of my personal studies of theology from the tree of Heiser, if you can call it that yes, the geopolitics matter, but behind the geopolitics was always this cosmic war. And so the geopolitical stuff were important, obviously, with the the Table of Nations and the different sons of God who were assigned all these different nations, you start thinking about it that way, and it's, the big point is that Jesus was here to undo not just personal salvation for us, but this cosmic rebellion that started in heaven, and so the things that happen geopolitically matter, of course, and there's context to it, historically and contemporarily. So I'm not dismissing it, but I feel that if you are using scripture to justify violence in a certain way, I personally cannot get behind that message.
Of course,
maybe other people can. That's fine, and for me, as far as talking to more younger people and stuff, a lot of people, especially in America, okay, in America, people aren't able to afford rent anymore. Okay, groceries are going crazy. We were all promised that if you get a degree from college that you're going to be set. Not true. Everyone's in debt. Everyone's degrees don't matter. Half the people are podcasters or live streamers or something now. And then AI is taking over everyone's jobs. And of course, people are going to be like, hey, what are we supposed to do? Oh, there's a war. Hey, maybe war. Maybe if we go to war, that'll give us a purpose and some income to support our family. And I feel that this messaging, the Hagee messaging, feeds into that and really brings about that message with a religious fervor that misleads. But that's just my opinion. I get it. A lot of people disagree with me on that. That's okay. If you're a believer, if you believe in Christ as your savior, then you are a brother or sister in Christ. So, there's nothing violent or anything regarding that. But I just feel that this messaging is not particularly biblical. But, again, those are things that got me in trouble, Basil. And that's why, we're...
there's an interesting distinction between biblical and like theologically relevant.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things are biblical in the sense that they appear in the Bible.
Right. Like the land of Israel or that region. It's like there's a geography there, and yes, things happen there. Jesus walked there, the Israelites were there, the whole thing.
Something can be biblically relevant, but not biblically
theologically
mandated.
sound.
Or just biblically mandated. Like there's stuff in there that's not necessarily instruction.
Right.
Some of it's just information.
Right. Yeah. Well, Hagee's not the only one. You had this clip here, and you said it was for me. This is Kim Clement. And you know my opinion about Kim Clement. Here's a 1 minute clip.
It's been a long time. No, I was actually hoping. I just saw this and gave it to you because people, honestly, it has been a long time since I've even thought about Kim Clement, and I see people bringing him up all the time.
Yeah, Kim Clement is
a negative sense.
Yeah, so Kim Clement was made popular after Trump's election in 2016 because he, I guess, prophesied that Trump would become president. And there's clips from, I believe it was 2009, 2010, somewhere in that time region. I don't know what this is from. He has passed away since all of this stuff, right? I think he passed away a few years ago. I have not watched this clip yet, so you're getting real-time reaction from me. Oh, there's no sound. Hold on 1 second. Of course. Wait, why is there no sound? There should be sound. Nothing is muted. Okay.
He will not be stopped. He will not
June 3rd, 2015.
be silenced by these that have tried to silence them in the Middle East. So I saw these massive events being planned by God and His Holy Spirit. This preservation and the time for it is extended into the Middle East, and especially for God's people in Iran. Hear me, this is a prophetic thing, where a massive shaking is going to take place in Iran. Now, it may sound obvious. No. This is something God ordained. This is not something Obama ordained. This is not something America ordained. This is something God has ordained. A massive shaking in Iran, which will reveal God's absolute displeasure with Iran and the pact that is presently taking place. And the result will be hundreds of thousands of Christians will be freed. in Iran.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, sure. That one doesn't really bother me a whole lot. I mean, there's been a lot of things to happen in Iran, you know? I mean, was he talking about this event?
Well, no, I mean, I think I didn't know anything about it, but yeah, the fact it was from 2015, it is a fun reminder that Iran and whether or not to attack Iran is just part of the yearly political cycle, basically.
Right. It's been the conversation for
at any
long
time in the past 30 years, you could make a comment about, I don't know, invading Iran or God's retribution on Iran, and it would be relevant. I think it's at the very least, somebody popped this video back up in support of what's happening now, saying, yeah, look, Kim Clement said this was God's will, so it's God's will we bomb Iran.
Okay. Oh, so that's the narrative then.
I don't really know. Like I said, I just put it in there because you were putting together stuff for the prophecy section. But
yeah.
What do people not like about this guy? I get a lot of people saying they don't like this guy.
I don't know actually. My personal thing is just because I know him from prophesying a Trump presidency before anyone was really talking about it.
Okay.
And of course, I leave room for God to speak to people and reveal things about the future and or the present or whatever it may be. That's entirely possible. God can do whatever he wants to do. So I'm not entirely dismissing it.
I mean, that's the fun part. He's only 10 years late. Kim Clement's only about 10 years late on this.
Yeah. Well, the skepticism part of my brain was wondering if some of those sorts of prophecies, because it was so popular and it made its round and it had its thing, had its moment, that perhaps he was a target of some highly technical messaging systems that we know exist and have existed for a while. And if it wasn't for the voice to skull kind of conversation, or now we talk about the Havana syndrome and the laser beams and stuff like that, if it wasn't for those topics being out in the open as well at the time, like 2010, 2011, then I may not be as skeptical about it. But it's because of those conversations and learning about in Iraq and the Middle East, Afghanistan, they used voice to skull technology to make people believe that God was speaking to them. That just my skeptical. I have no proof. Again, I've talked about this before. I have no proof. These are just my own, thought processes.
They certainly could at this point, and they've expressly said that they want to.
That's right. That's the thing. And now, we didn't bring the story, but the whole Operation Artichoke from the 1950s, using drugs and vaccines to try to mind control entire populations. Yeah, that's not a conspiracy theory anymore. So, if that was something that they were trying to do in 1950, then maybe in 2010 they can carry out the operation, especially if it means, bringing about a spiritual, or I guess quasi-spiritual, or at the very least a religious fervor to politics. So anytime there's a messaging.
Joyful Noise in the chat talking about Kim Clement says he also prophesied Bill Gates would bring a financial windfall to the church for that. I mean, he's so philanthropic. I don't see why. Probably
we didn't bring the Bill Gates news either, but he also admitted to some stuff with the Epstein thing.
Or the complicit, I suppose he did. He was always brown nosing to the elect. Also sold Eminem and Bieber bring revival. Oh, said Eminem and Bieber bring revival. Yeah, that is maybe that's kind of the vibe that gets under a lot of people's skin when it comes to big Christian movements or Christian personalities, is when it so explicitly supports those in power. And everything they do. It's one thing to, give Caesar what's Caesar's. That's one thing. It's another thing to understand that whoever's in charge is because God put him there. But it's a whole nother thing to say whoever is in charge is good and it knows
Right.
what God wants and
This is a divine, this is like
that we should listen to them and do what they say and blah, because Bible's pretty clear. Sometimes God puts evil kings in power for whatever reason. Doesn't mean that you should agree with everything they say.
Yep.
In fact, exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
All right.
One more here, real quick. One more. This is from Greg Laurie.
We know that Persia, modern Iran, plays a role in the end time scenario because the Bible does say a large force to the north of Israel will march on her, known as Magog, and whatever allies will be Persia. Where does this fit in? I don't know. We'll see. It'll all play out in God's perfect timing. But I can say this. When we see this kind of activity in that part of the world, it reminds me of the words of Jesus, who said, when you see these things begin to happen, look up because your redemption is drawing near. As far as I can see, the next event on the prophetic calendar will be the rapture of the church. That, of course, is a controversial topic to some. It's not controversial to me. I don't think it's controversial to us. But when that event happens, all of the prophetic things that are going to take place are like dominoes closely stacked to each other. And once the first domino falls, the others will fall. The emergence of the Antichrist, the tribulation period, the Battle of Armageddon, the second coming, the millennial reign of Christ, heaven and earth become one. And somewhere in that prophetic scenario is the invasion of Magog with her ally Persia. So it's all going to be happening in God's timing. But the one event that can happen at any moment is when the Lord comes for his church.
Okay, so this is highly dispensational theology, eschatology, preacher rapture, and in that context, he didn't say anything crazy. I mean, you can. I guess it's back to the same old conversation about like, hey, stuff's happening in the Middle East, and Bible says stuff happened and will happen in the Middle East. So at least he said he doesn't know how it fits all together. At least there was a little bit of I don't know, just not conclusive on anything. I appreciate that from Greg Laurie. But there's no textual certainty with any of this. There's no, even the rapture, just one thing he's certain of is that the rapture of the church is happening. Well, my fear is that this kind of eschatology is used to kill a bunch of Christians. That's like, what if all the stuff in the book of Revelation about the saints being conquered is a bunch of believers being killed in some laser beam that, pulls people up into the sky or something? Everyone believes it's the rapture, but it's just, the blood of the saints. Like it says that the saints will be conquered in the end times. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. This one, I'm not like as angry with about it as the Hagee stuff. But I'm not going to sit here and debate about the rapture timing right now. It's not the point. But you can see how the psyop, if we're talking about the psyop of the moment, really taking the moment
that's
to
kind of that's the bigger thing. I mean, look, I don't know. You argue enough times about the series of events in biblical prophecy, like you come to the end of that road after a few years, and I certainly got to the end of that road a long time ago, and which I think is interesting because we are sitting here culturally at this very interesting revival type moment for Christianity, which is getting a lot more people to pay attention to this, because of course first you kind of find Jesus and then you start getting
questions. I had questions.
Stuff.
I got baptized. I had questions.
That's that's kind of the roadmap for that. And there's something about something about the timing and the politics of the whole thing. Like it just goes in one direction, which is yay, we're bombing Iran.
I know, that's the thing that drives me nuts. It justifies all this violence.
yay, we're bombing Iran.
Oh, yay, we're bombing Iran.
There's a lot of people who are very excited about this.
Hey, we're killing a bunch of innocent people in Iran. Hey, that means, well, not just innocent people. I guess we're taking out evil people too. But that means Jesus is coming back soon. So look up, you know.
Now you take we're kind of zooming out again to the spiritual aspect of what we're looking at, and this is like we've been very sort of niche biblical prophecy.
Of course,
here
we are outliers from all angles, and congratulations if you're here.
So we saw something happen. Of course, this is all happening on the backdrop of the Epstein files, right?
Yes.
A lot of interesting stuff about I mean, the timing is incredible. Right as the Epstein files drop, people have some time to go through them.
Borg stepped down.
The
Didn't
DOJ
the Borg step down.
What?
The Borg. You don't remember Borg from the time of
man. You're gonna have to be more specific if you're gonna interrupt the flow like this.
I think he's the UN or WEF. I forget which guy it was. CEO of World Economic Forum. Borg.
Yeah, we reported on that. That was a little over a week ago.
Was it?
Lots of people stepping down. It's the whole thing. I mean, that's the biggest thing in the world is the Epstein files, DOJ just dropping some more names, some more unredacted things. Like this is a big deal. And so, of course, those who make a habit of paying attention, monitoring the situation, are like, of course, you attack Iran right now. And a couple of weeks ago, we saw something very interesting. Just as the United States was starting to move military units into position, move in the Navy, move in the airplanes, we had this very interesting government, not just government sanctioned, like government sponsored protests in Iran, sponsored by Khomeini, by the Iranian government, where all across Iran, they erected these statues of Baal, these big horned god statues. We're all familiar with this. Here's a little clip of one of the bigger statues of Baal that was burned in Iran.
It's got the obelisk next to it and everything. Yeah.
And this was all being done sort of in the name of the West. Well, obviously Israel, and what do they say? Israel's the little Satan. United States is the big Satan. They've got different Satans of different sizes, and they burn the Baal statues, making direct reference to Epstein, child sacrifice, the West and its allies worshiping Baal. Of course, it became anti-Semitic to burn a statue of Baal, which was kind of weird. And they specifically, were making announcements, making speeches about like, look, the Epstein stuff, like bringing the Epstein into the daily politics of Iranians as justification for preparing, for war against the West, or war in its many different forms, not even just traditional kinetic war, but cyber war, insurgent war, as we'll get into in a second. But this was all the opening act. Like, it's easy to forget the opening act of this chapter that we're in, where we're bombing Iran, when just a week ago Epstein files were the biggest thing in the world. They're burning statues of Baal, and here was now this was difficult. I did some digging around. I could not find an absolutely rock solid date for this clip here, but as the clip is going around, it's being reported that this is a new clip, which I think is relevant. The context is, they kind of cut out the context a little bit, which I'm very suspicious of, but the implied context is after the death of Khomeini. And this was an Iranian guy answering some questions on this news show.
Where do you see this going? Is there an off-ramp for Iran?
I think what will happen is that even if the United States is able to kill illegally Iranian leaders, the next generation of Iranians, the Iranians that did not see American atrocities in Iran before 1979, some Iranians that did not understand why their parents and grandparents were anti-American, those Iranians will take over. Now they understand why American government is a imperialist, vicious government and a government that attacks other countries and kills little children, they understand they are fighting the Epstein class that either rape little girls or bomb little girls. This is the government that we are witnessing. We are going to fight back against that government, and they're going to ensure that the Islamic Republic of Iran will live many years after America destroys itself.
Oh, okay.
So the question being asked across the board is, okay, you killed Khomeini. Well, who's just going to step up and rule again? And there's this, there's some reports, again, very hard to confirm each one, but, oh, this guy became temporary supreme leader. Oh, and then Trump bombed that guy too. And, oh, they bombed everybody who could possibly take over. And the topic of conversation by this fellow is, look, it doesn't matter what guy takes over. America is very good at manufacturing or causing what's called blowback in the CIA. They call it blowback.
Oh, yeah.
That's the idea of, you kill one terrorist and now you've created 10 more because he has cousins and brothers, and that just goes on infinitum. So he's really
the weapons. The weapon stuff is in the context too. Sending weapons to one group and it gets lost, and all of a sudden the terrorists have it's a blowback.
So he's referring to something that the U.S. is very commonly deals with is blowback, but in this case, the blowback is framed around Epstein. And it's, again, a very interesting way for the stage to be set for this next era, this next golden age of whatever happens in the Middle East, whoever takes over. He's saying, look, you're going to have little kids who, thanks to Khomeini sponsoring, the burning of the Baal statues and making it Iranian culture to really focus on the Epstein class, the whole thing. I mean, admittedly, the most evil that we can really confirm on such a broad scale like this. And it's just such an integral part of the worldview of a generation of Iranians.
Wow, what a psyop. What a wonderful psyop. I mean, great job, social engineers. Now you got Iranians thinking that they're fighting the pedophile West. You got the West thinking they're doing the fighting the satanic, Muslim Islamic evil. I mean, this is a great job. Great job.
I mean, it's just kind of full scale now. It is impressive.
It is very impressive.
And with that, it's kind of funny. You go over to X, and something very interesting was trending today, and that was Operation Epstein Fury. And this is from nuts. Let's see. I'm trying to zoom in. Are you able to zoom in?
I'm zoomed in. Yeah, you can kind of see the emails here. They're not great, but yeah.
So small. Hold on. Let me open it up on my computer so I can zoom in. So, long story short, Operation Epstein Fury is generally a bunch of, leftist Democrats pointing out, possibly very correctly, that the timing of this operation around the Epstein thing is a little too convenient for Trump, because of course Trump's all over the Epstein files. Well, they've picked through some of the Epstein files, and there's many little images here of these ding ding.
I'm trying to find that spot of.
I know these ding ding billionaires. They email each other 10,000 times, and they'll put like 3 words in an email, and they just have they not learned about text messages? It's hard. They do put the file number in the thread.
I think I'm done visiting the DOJ website, digging around the Epstein files.
Yeah, you're on a list. So, long story short, it appears in the Epstein files that here we go. Okay, so this is from someone to someone.
Great.
He says, you guys need to understand that he is psychotic, allegedly.
Here he is. I found it. Yep.
Trump, and would not blink twice at encouraging an attack on us, so he can leap to the country's defense. Mindset. If I'm going down, I'm taking everyone with me. Next one. Everybody here surprised and happy about it. Nobody quite understand why he did it, including myself. Completely opposite on what I was told at the White House, what he is up to. Spoke with new Syria UN envoy who used to work for me. Russians very good and kind. Next, anyways, there's about 30 messages. This is really annoying that I have to download each one of these. Long story short, the Operation Epstein Fury is a cute name to refer to in the Epstein files. It appears that Epstein himself said, to paraphrase, was messaging various world leaders saying, hey, Trump's a psycho. If you corner him like a rat, he'll go to war in Iran. So giving the impression of, look, if you go after Trump, if Trump gets trapped, if you corner him like a rat, he'll start a war in Iran to get himself out of it, which is a very convenient set of messaging for those who, are anti-Trump and need some context to put this whole war in Iran in. As I go through,
I'm not seeing Trump's name on any of this.
For the rat part,
I saw the rat part, but I don't see Trump's name in any of this. How do we know
very
this?
Interesting. It might not actually even be about Trump.
I mean, there's been stuff like that recently that's come to the surface where people accuse or create a narrative out of it. That must be part of the op too.
Could be he doesn't want them there if a much bigger operation might put them in jeopardy. Reminder, he will take everyone down with him if he feels the end is near. I always urge people not to corner a rat.
There we go.
They become extremely dangerous and unpredictable.
They are going drip by drip, but rats go crazy before the cage closes. Too much time. The Republicans are beginning to understand. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do things that might encourage a real problem.
So it kind of just seems to imply that it's Trump.
It says Republicans in 2018.
The mention of Republicans is the closest you can get to.
I don't know, man.
Lindsey Graham.
The layer of ops here where the fifth generation warfare, people can spin up narratives. I'm sure they anticipated new narratives be formed or misdirected narratives be formed with the Epstein drops. So I don't know. I mean, how do we verify that this is actually talking about Trump? I don't see Trump's name in any of it. Yeah,
Trump here.
I mean, maybe we're missing something. There's this. That's part of the issue with the dumping the files like this is that people can spin up all kinds of narratives, and it may not be accurate. It may be what they are there's some things that are very obvious, but
the Epstein
other
files
things are.
Say whatever somebody needs them to say in a Twitter post, basically. I mean, interesting. The closest reference to Trump that you can actually pick out here is just a reference to the Republicans. The Republicans are beginning to understand.
Understand
what? So who knows? I mean, there you go. Well, that was the the cultural trend, at least on X, and of course, we have heard this now for years, but at least explicitly for weeks or months, Trump in the Epstein files, which we've already gone over. This is very reminiscent of a lot of the times that Trump shows up in the Epstein files, which is more implied than actually explicit. I mean, there's times where it's like the FBI got a anonymous tip from somebody on the Epstein tip line of this crazy story about Trump or something. But yet this is not very explicit.
Did you see that Ted Lieu clip?
Well, no.
Just as a side note, because we're talking about Trump and Epstein and all this stuff, I'll play it. It's about I don't know if we have to play the whole thing.
Quick before you play it. A couple of weeks ago, suddenly we are talking about all these pro-Iranian X accounts started flooding.
Khomeini's account hit my timeline.
Khomeini's official account.
Official gray check mark.
We should check Khomeini's official account. Maybe we'll see if he's tweeted since he's allegedly passed away. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, all the weird pro-Iranian accounts that popped up or appeared, revealed themselves. there was that quote unquote, again, this is all just narrative, right? This is just illusion. This is just narrative crafting. You literally can't believe anything that you see on your timeline if you can't follow it up with some sort of source. But you had all these Iranian accounts saying, "Ooh, if Trump bombs Iran, this group of Iranian hackers is going to release all the videos of Trump doing bad stuff on Epstein Island," right?
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. What happened? Where's the footage?
Well, I did see again some more pro-Iranian accounts going by my feed, and they were like, "Okay, we're gonna release all those Trump videos. Watch out! This is
okay.
what
Well,
you
this is
get."
that's a good setup for this Ted Lieu clip.
Okay, good.
So why?
Nope, there's no sound. Hold on one second. What happened? What happened, Ted Lieu?
I had
unmute.
sound.
You had sound. Okay.
So why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children.
Okay. I mean, we can keep it going, but
I'm sorry,
but
I don't
is this
mean to
the
laugh.
evidence?
I mean-
Ted Lieu standing at a mic saying that Trump wanted to rape children and kill
I
them.
mean,
Is this
he even said it. He said exactly what I referred to earlier, which is, there's highly disturbing allegations, meaning there was the FBI tip list, or
Tip
sorry,
list,
the tip
yeah.
line that you could anonymously call and leave your tip to whatever, catch Epstein or whatever it was. And yeah, there's a bunch of calls of people calling in and saying all this crazy stuff. There's no evidence, but there's stories, and God forbid it's true. I mean, who knows? I don't know.
we don't know, yeah.
I'm not saying he's a good guy, but what I love the most about this is Republicans just want to talk to Bill and Hillary Clinton to distract them. It's like, bro, the whole thing is Bill and Hillary Clinton. What are you talking about?
Well, Bill Clinton came out and he said, if I would have known, what Jeffrey was doing, I wouldn't have gone to his island 75,000 times.
They're not subpoenas, but whatever. Their little sessions there were exactly what you would expect.
Yeah. Didn't Hillary walk out? I saw a thing that said Hillary Clinton walked out of the hearing or something.
Yeah, it's
stormed out.
It's a boring story, but it was Anna Paulina Luna during the hearing took a picture on her cell phone and leaked it. And Hillary used that as an excuse to.
She found her escape
get up.
hatch.
She was so angry that somebody took a picture that she got up and left.
Oh boy. Okay.
Anyway, so here's the point. All of this is happening on the backdrop of Epstein. Is all of it happening to distract from Epstein, to save Trump from Epstein? Possibly. There's not a whole lot of good hard evidence. That the narrative is very powerful. The narrative by the Democrats, the narrative of, by the way, the what was it called? The Operation Epstein Fury came from an account called, did I lose it? Where is it? Dissident Media, which is a pretty explicitly kind of, they don't say that they're Democrat, but they're like leftist truth tellers type of thing.
Right.
So who knows? Maybe it's all true, but it would be unfortunate. It would be a bad spot to be in. I do not envy the spot that people are in to have to make the case that Trump is guilty of some of these horrible things and not have any solid actual evidence to point to. That's an unenviable position to be in.
Yeah.
Versus the various others who have really hard evidence. And so you have an Iranian government, an Iranian modern citizenry who's gotten the Epstein message from Khomeini very strongly, so strongly that they burned statues of Baal, and it's called the West the Epstein class, right? And It doesn't matter if the leaders are taken out. You've still got this very powerful Epstein narrative. Again, whether true or not, but certainly not that Epstein's crimes are true or not. Of course, we know that they're true now. But the version, I guess, the version of the Epstein narrative of an Iranian child, like who knows what that includes. We of course have our, a Christian, the Christian Epstein narrative includes Satanism and child sacrifice and Baal and stuff like that, whereas a secular narrative about Epstein wouldn't really include Baal. It wouldn't have as much like Satanism stuff, of course, all sorts of horrible things. I'm just trying to like put my feet in the shoes of like an Iranian child who's been getting the Epstein narrative in Iran. It's just weird. So anywho, on the topic of radicalizing children for the next generation of whatever, there was this Telegraph article, which I need to, there we go. Telegraph article, Iran declares jihad as anti-US riots spread across the Middle East. This was, what's the date on this sucker? I think it was March 2nd. Is today March 2nd? Yes.
Today is March 2nd,
yeah. A leading Iranian cleric declared jihad against America and Israel on Sunday as anti-US protests swept across the region following the killing of Iran's supreme leader. At least 9 protesters were killed in Pakistan. Okay, he's going into the embassy thing. Crowd shouted death to Israel, death to America, and breached the outer wall. Yes, we saw that. Protesters set fire to United Nations office. Yes. Wow, they're really going through a lot of the riots. Okay, that's good. Large pro-regime crowd mourns Khomeini. That's very important. Somehow Pakistan, there are certain groups of Pakistanis who are really, really sad about Khomeini's death, which I think is interesting. But we know this calling, this Iran declares jihad, has been another undercurrent of threat in the United States. And, we're always saying everything's connected to everything. The immigration story, what was it before Epstein? It was ICE in Minneapolis. It was, crackdowns on immigration. It was before that, of course, first term was build the wall. Then we discovered that it wasn't just South Americans, that pretty much anybody was being let into the country without much vetting, which brought up the concept of sleeper cells. And it's been appearing in places such as, online shows, Steve Bannon's show, whatever, but
Alex
Jones, yes, on another sort of part of the scale, but also mainstream media, this idea that as Americans, we need to be really afraid because if we're not careful, that there's Islamic sleeper cells in Texas.
Yeah. Well, this has been the warning for decades when it comes
and it's been part of the threat. Like, don't do anything to Iran because if you do something to Iran, the sleeper cells will activate. So here is Pete Buttigieg basically being asked this.
Pete Hegseth.
All right, Pete Hegseth. It'd be funnier if it was Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, what happened to Booty Gwig?
He doesn't have anything going on.
Okay.
Pete Hegseth.
Iranian sleeper cells and kind of what has the Trump administration been doing to kind of monitor these?
Well, across the interagency, in full coordination, of course, we're paying attention to any potentialities there. This is a former regime, that seeks to export that ideology and try to sow terror. We're ready for that. We've seen these types of folks before, and the American people can rest assured that we're vigilant on that.
Right. Secretary, thank you. Kind of follow up on that last question. There was just this what appears to be a terrorist attack in Austin yesterday. How does that change the operation at all? What effect does that have? And
it doesn't change the operation at all, and I know the authorities are executing exactly the way they should.
So the sleeper cell conversation comes up because of this shooting in Austin that happened. What was it? Saturday. Says this is from KVUE. Says 2 people were killed and at least 14 others were injured after a shooting early Sunday morning in downtown Austin. Authorities said the shooter was also killed, and now the FBI is involved in the investigation. Austin police first responded to reports of gunfire, etc. 2 a.m. Austin Police Chief Lisa Davis said at a news conference on Sunday morning that the suspect, identified as Indiaga Diagne, was driving a large SUV, circled the block several times before stopping, turned on the SUV's hazard lights, and began firing a gun. Well, at least he put the hazard lights on to let people
courteous. He's courteous.
Go around. Police said Diagne then parked near Wood Street, got out and continued shooting with a pistol and later a rifle as you walked east on 6th Street. Officers who were stationed nearby at the time opened fire on the shooter, killing him. Davis said the suspect never entered Buford's bar but fired shots from the outside of the building. She said evidence from the SUV and nearby businesses is still being processed and confirmed that only 2 weapons, a pistol and a rifle, were recovered. 14 patients were located at the scene and nearby hospitals. 2 victims were pronounced dead at the scene. 3 of those hospitalized remain in critical condition. At least 4 of the 14 patients have been released from local hospitals, according to St. David's Healthcare. FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force involved. The FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force has joined the investigation based on preliminary evidence found on the scene. FBI Acting Special Agent in Charge Alex Duran said the FBI sent in multiple specialized teams, including its evidence response and digital forensic units, to help process the scene and analyze evidence. He added investigators are examining potential indicators connected to the suspect, but cautioned that it remains too early to determine a motive. I love that. Examining potential indicators connected to the suspect. Quote, obviously, it's still way too early in the process to determine an exact motivation, he said, quote, but there were indicators that on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism. Indicators to indicates to that indicate, guns, that it could be indicated that there's a connection to terrorism.
There's yeah, go ahead. Finish.
I was going to say, initial reporting was that the fellow was wearing a shirt. Is that a picture of it? Oh, good.
Yeah. So, yes, there's a photo of this, and there's nothing funny about it. A couple of people pass away, other people shot. Serious situation. But I will say that if you are intelligence and you have a guy who's willing to carry out this type of operation, and whatever sort of patsy situation or mind control situation is going on here, to make it look like the fear that is out there, because as soon as the hit on Iran happened, the message went out there, intelligence and counterintelligence in the United States, high alert right away. So, and I even I think I wasn't the only one. Many people talked about how, hey, once they do this thing with Iran, just look out, because America is going to be on a heightened sort of, we're going to be very sensitive to what's going on here because of the sleeper cells and the whole situation. Now, to make it look like it is connected to the whole Iranian situation, you got to have some kind of symbol. And what do? They give this guy a hoodie that says property of Allah. That's about as best as they can do.
Seems like you're pretty right off the bat convinced that this was maybe false flag isn't the right word, but I guess false flag might be the right word.
Yeah, I think it might be. Yeah,
you're pretty convinced right off the bat that this was some sort of operation.
Well, if it's not explicitly, then certainly it's a little too coincidental that we're on heightened alert and this type of thing happens. And the one evidence to connect it to everything is the guy's wearing a hoodie that says property of Allah.
Well, the other piece of evidence was that they found a Quran in his car. Well, there's a Quran in the car and a sweatshirt that says property of Allah. Now, of course, it's very possible that this is an operation. And now you think sleeper cell. Okay, yes, almost certainly there are non-American government connected sleeper cells in the country.
Yeah.
Almost certainly.
Certainly, yeah. From
But
all sorts of places, not
it is
just Iran.
also it is also not outside the realm of possibility that there are sleeper cells who even perhaps think that they are legit sleeper cells that are actually being influenced by some other organization, perhaps one in the American intelligence community. This is not outside the realm of possibility that this fella really understood himself to be, acting on behest of Khomeini, whether he was or wasn't, we don't know. I do find it interesting that this KVUE ABC news article and the quote from the police chief was, but there were indicators that on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism, and not he was wearing a shirt that says property to Allah. And
That's what I'm saying. Having a Quran, I mean, it almost, I'm sorry to be a little flippant about this, but for example, okay, there have been situations where my kids, it's career day at school or something, right? They got to dress up as something.
Yeah, you just throw on your sweatshirt.
You throw on the
Allah. You just
right.
happen to have the
There's
Quran.
low effort. It's very low effort, I guess, is my sort of
He
suspicion.
didn't dress up for this event. That's true. He was.
I mean,
not
you would
paying a lot of
expect.
attention.
I suppose if you really had a sleeper cell, what people imagined in their minds is he's got the hijab on, he's full board, he's got the whatever. He lays a mat out, he's praying to Allah, and then he gets up and pulls out the AK, whatever. Like something a little more dramatic that we see in the movies or something, not a sweatshirt. And
Well, you're saying it's unrealistic that he's not wearing a turban?
I'm saying that's what people expect. And then when you see this, I would imagine people's suspicions are raised. Like nobody.
Well, one thing that's very suspicious about the connection to Iran here is that there's all sorts of different kinds of Muslims. All right.
Of course, yes.
There's Middle Eastern Muslims, there's African Muslims, there's Filipino Muslims, and they, have things in common, but they're not all Muslims look the same. This particular guy looks like an African Muslim.
Yeah.
He's an African complexion.
Yeah, he's a black guy.
Yeah. And they kind of have their own kind of vibe of Islam. It looks like the sweatshirt formerly said something else, because it is a sweatshirt that has in sort of block collegiate text.
Yeah, like a university sweater. Yeah.
Yeah, property of, and then you can't really see what it maybe originally said. It looks like he took a marker or a big Sharpie or something and wrote Allah over whatever it originally said, because it's like very messy. That's not a professionally printed sweatshirt.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, I hate to break down something like this with.
No, well, I mean, that's the thing. We know that certain darker elements of the United States government prefer that a certain level of anxiety follow Americans around throughout the day.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing with 9/11. It was a whole campaign to make sure. Remember, they had the terrorism color alerts. Oh, today is orange. It's orange on the terror. What meter today? They had like a little meter that they would publish, and it's kind of like those signs when you're driving through a national forest and it has Smokey the Bear on it. And it has an arrow, and the ranger will point the arrow towards like, oh, it's an orange day. Be careful. Don't start a forest fire. They had that, but for Islamic sleeper cells in the United States.
Yeah.
So we know that portions of the American government, are benefit in some way, somehow, by a certain level of anxiety hovering around Americans' heads throughout the day. And the timing is certainly convenient if there were such an organization.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It makes me wonder if they didn't really have a whole lot of options to make something happen quick. You know, you send out the message to the American people, you get the fear going, you need something to happen to validate it. I also think this is part of the, the 6-week cycle with the FBI. It's very similar in nature. Got to justify our tax dollars with all of this, by the way, the whole Iran situation in general. It's like, hey, I know nobody likes paying taxes, but hey, listen,
What about Russ Dizdar?
What's that? You mean Russ Dizdar's taxes? So yes, Russ Dizdar. Okay, yeah, Russ Dizdar. He had shatterthedarkness.net, and he obviously he was a friend and colleague in the realm of looking at not just the darker side of things, but really the spiritual underpinning of programmed individuals. He used to talk about this all the time. He wrote a book called The Black Awakening, and the concept was that there would be MK Ultra, trauma-based mind control, or programmed individuals, not just terrorist cells. And his thesis really was that a lot of what we might see activated in the United States and across the world, if anything like this ever happened, was not necessarily a genuine sleeper cell of another religious group or something like that, that they would be these programmed individuals carrying out these acts of violence, and that there would be a moment when a whole bunch of them would be activated, in the
or a period of time,
or a period of time, right?
Like, there would be an age where this sort of constant stream of, I mean, one could argue with SSRIs and all the stuff.
Yes, all of it, the whole thing. And that's
mind control plays it at least can play a role in pretty much every one of these acts of violence.
And yeah, so this is where the Operation Artichoke story over the weekend, that we didn't necessarily bring it today, but I think it's worth mentioning because it does. I mean, it validates this thesis at the very least, the possibility of this thesis.
And by that, the story meaning that the Daily Mail over the weekend posted an article saying CIA documents show that they could control people and make them do stuff. The Daily Mail. So, if the Daily Mail says it, then it's true.
Yeah. I have the Yahoo article here from Gadget Review. Project Artichoke, 70 years later, the CIA mind control drugs and vaccines. And they talk about the declassified documents from the 1950s, which, interestingly enough, guess what Russ Dizdar's thesis was in The Black Awakening? Sleeper cells embedded in the United States since the 1950s. That was his exact decade when he says that this stuff started. So I find it interesting that this was sort of confirmed, post-mortem, Russ is home with the Lord. But that, that whole area of research has come to light, and it's now public and quote unquote official that such a program existed. And if they're telling us 70 years later, imagine, number one, what they're doing now. And number two, maybe the results of this, the other possibility is that it didn't really go as planned. Like, they didn't really get as many people under the whole operation as they wanted. And, what they're left with is a hoodie and a Quran in a car or something, it didn't really play out as much as they would want. The article here talks about human guinea pigs without consent. The program moved beyond theoretical proposals into documented human experimentation. Project Artichoke didn't stay on paper. Declassified records confirm that CIA researchers conducted actual experiments on unwitting subjects, testing interrogation techniques and drug combinations. These weren't AI wrote this. These weren't volunteers signing waivers. They were people who had no idea they'd become test subjects for government mind control research. The program's scope remains partially classified, but what we know paints a disturbing picture of systematic abuse disguised as national security research involving various tech scandals. It goes into MK Ultra and the rest. So
we're all very aware.
We're familiar with this here. The use of vaccines is an interesting one in this regard. Not just drugs, but vaccines too, specifically. Right. So I mean, that
takes a particularly mentally unstable person who likes to load up on those things too. So
sure,
a willing participant. Okay, Gonzo, I'm seeing the time here. We tried to keep the show moving, but
we
have producers Before we
I do have a little bit more time. I'm sorry to cut you off there. I do have a little bit more time. So if you want, I can kind of run through this portal story real quick.
Let's thank our producers who came, not the executive producers, but we had some producers come in under the executive producer amount. Remember, it is value for value, folks. You guys know this, man. This show doesn't exist. This community doesn't exist without people putting value back into the system. It's very easy. This is not a transactional relationship. This is not a brainwashing. We are not selling your attention to advertisers. Some people like that sort of thing. They like to know that their favorite podcast sells their attention and their trust for personal gain. But we don't do that here. It takes a little bit more personal responsibility to keep this show going, but that's the way that we believe God wants it to be. Because once you start taking money for basically mind control purposes like advertising, you're opening yourself up, not just sort of credibility wise or things like that, although it does include that, but also spiritually. It becomes a sort of spiritual attack vector to, perhaps what God really wants to get out on the show. So value for value is easy. We create as much value as we can, as often as we can. And believe it or not, we try really hard, folks. So sorry if it's not working. But if you get any value from the show, if you look around in your life, if you look around inside the noggin and you go, you know what, I actually have gotten some value from that show, become a producer, and you can produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Okay. Lots of ways to do it. Get involved, put on a meetup, make some art, go to canarycry.art, upload it there. Or, of course, it's always very important to produce the show with your treasure. We got to pay the bills around here. We just had to pay for bunch of bills today, and it was a blast. Love doing it. Such a blessing to be able to pay for all these services.
Rooster loves it too.
And so you can go to CanaryCry.Support to learn all about it and support the show there. Remix. Okay, we got some producers coming in to support the show. First up, we got producer Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Panda, comes in.
Hey, Sir Darren, thank you very much.
Irene makes a good point in the chat. Basil didn't get an offer high enough to sell out. I know. I'm holding out, guys. Trust me. When I do sell out, you're gonna learn the number, and you're gonna be like, good. Good. I'm glad he held out. I'm glad he didn't take the first offer. You're going to be happy for us when we finally get to sell out one of these days. All right. Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Panda, comes in very generously for $77.77.
Oh, thank you, Sir Darren. Appreciate you.
He sent a note here, says, Jesus said, do not be anxious for your life, what you'll eat or drink. But he never mentioned gas fees. May your lantern burn bright and not be hidden under a basket. Thank you very much, Sir Darren.
Yeah,
next up, we've got producer Claudia B, who also came in for $77.77.
Thank you. Producer, what is it? Claudia
B.
Claudia B. Okay, thank you.
Sent a note and just said thank you. Well, thank you back.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Producer Jared M comes in for a nice round number. Thank you very much, Jared.
Thank you.
Producer Rebecca T came in for $55.55.
Rebecca T, thank you.
Tracy W and Armando A both came in, signed up for the supply drop, 33.33.
Hey, double up on that. Great.
Illuminatus! Illuminatus!
Very
And
good.
if you don't know, you got to be like Tracy W and Armando A. Go to CanaryCry.Supply.Drop.com. This is just such a blessing to the show and a blessing to the producers, because if you sign up to produce the show for $33.33 a month, every quarter we'll be sending you a big old package filled with custom created Canary Cry gear. Okay, it's all over the place. We've got apparel, hats go out. What do we? I don't know if I have a list right in front of me of what we got going. Oh, we got the GMO-free seeds going out for the spring. It's always a celebration when the Canary Cry Supply Drop arrives, and it's one of our most I mean, we depend on it very much. Our supply droppers.
We do. Hey, hey, gold is pumping again. So everybody who got the gold back, you're back at all-time highs. Look at that. Global uncertainty is certain.
Sometimes we'll literally send you gold in the supply drop. It happens. We've done
look
it.
At that.
Of course, Cage Rattler Coffee came in, supported the show. Thank you, Cage Rattler Coffee. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com, folks. Don't miss out. It's very important. In fact, it looks like people have been going to Cage Rattler Coffee. It looks like it's been more successful the past couple weeks. People are finally starting to catch on that Cage Rattler Coffee is what you got to do.
Appreciate it.
Producer Amy W supports the show for a nice round number. Thank you, Amy W.
Thank you.
And Sir Casey the Shield Knight comes in.
Hey, Sir Casey the Shield Knight. Where is Sir Casey's jingle? There it is.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight comes in for 1111.
1111. Oop, where is it?
1111. And we got a note here from Sir Casey. Sir Casey says, "Happy 11th birthday, Sir Rowan. Son of Shield Knight and Lady Shield Knight. Can you play Howard Dean Scream and a birthday jingle for Rowan?" Hold on. Hold on. Let me finish the note. Then you play the birthday jingle and the Dean Scream.
Okay.
Love and blessings from our fam to you all. Thank you very much, Sir Casey the Shield Knight, and happy birthday, Sir Rowan.
It's my birthday. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday to
There we go. This is 11th birthday. We'll give you 11 Dean Screams.
11. That's a good year.
Screams, but 11, I wish
I could enjoy 11. Happy birthday.
Okay, that concludes our list of 2 weeks worth of producers. Thank you very, very much. I see we have our under $7.77 producers. I'm keeping track of your streak here. For those who don't know, if you produce the show for $7.77 or more, you're entitled to have a note read on the show if you like. Underneath that, we'll be thanking our $7.77 producers on Wednesday, mostly because they're all keeping big old long streaks going. So thank you to everybody who came in and supported the show financially. It means the world to us. We could not do it without you. And it's a very special thing to be a part of. There's very, very, very few things in this world, especially podcasts or online shows, that are even able to do what we do for as long as we do, even with advertisements and selling out and platform partnerships and money from corporations. Very few of them are able to do it, but basically none are able to do it without that kind of funding structure. And this is only possible because of our producers. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate all of you. You're amazing.
All right. I think we got one more story for the show. Or maybe a couple. I don't know.
Yes, the gates of the gods. Okay, News Nation. If you have cable television still in your home, News Nation became one of these, I guess, alt news, like cable news outlets.
It's not really alt if it's on cable, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess,
one of the newer ones, I guess.
Yeah. It felt alt because it came on cable TV right as the whole alt revolution was happening. So there was a gentleman that was on News Nation named Ross Coulthart. I think that's how you say it. And he made a very interesting claim on the show.
But just one thing I want to throw out here, and I want to cause a bit of mischief with the US government. I've just been somewhere in the United States where I know there is another portal. And I know the United States knows about it. And I was there just the other day. And guess what? It's got a big fence around it, lots of security signs. It's supposedly US Forest Service. But you know what? It's not. And it's supposedly ancient ruins of tribal art. And you know what? It's not. What's happening is that the United States is using the US Forest Service and claims of the protection of archaeological relics to keep secret from the public a portal on US soil. There, Megan.
Oh, so
portal.
On News Nation, a man claimed that there is a portal that the America is covering up.
Portal
near the
disclosure.
Portal disclosure. And some people maybe think he said potty portal, because I have a picture here. I was trying to pull it up as the clip was going. Let me just try to grab it here. Here we go. This is there's an overview map of the alleged portal. This is in Sedona, Arizona. I've been to Arizona, I've been to Sedona, Arizona. Lots of red going on. The alleged location is right here near the Palatka Heritage Site. And they put the sort of red dot where the portal is supposed to be. But right nearby is the vault toilet, recently viewed. So maybe there's a portal. I mean, we know there's a portal there.
What's the vault toilet?
I don't know, but it's on the map that the people shared of this alleged location of the portal.
That, or did they circle it?
I circled it because I circled it because I noticed the picture, and I thought it was funny that in the picture where the portal is supposed to be is a vault toilet. But anyway, allegedly out there in Sedona. Sedona is strange. You go out there, the red rocks and everything. It's very beautiful, but it's very desert.
It's very famous for portals.
It is. It's already been. There's lore, portal lore. Like if you go out there, people have made. I don't know, streaming videos or content surrounding visiting these rock formations, and they test, the EMP devices and see if there's different energetic pockets and stuff like that. So I know it's already been a part of the conversation when it comes to the fringe, but it's different when some guy
fringe like that. It's like portal culture down there.
That's what I mean. I guess
it's like a lot of hippies, a lot of new age people.
Yeah. Well, it's not like
a lot of turquoise, and they're all portal people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's I say fringe, but you know what I mean. It's not mainstream. It's not accepted mainstream as like, oh, there's actual portals there. It's more of like like you said, it's like a hippie culture type of thing. But hey, you get a guy with an accent go on News Nation and talk about portals.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny that the portal that he's disclosing is a portal in Sedona or wherever, because
Sedona, Arizona.
Of course, that's where the portal would be. I mean, that's an easy win. Everybody believes it if it's in Sedona.
Yeah.
If it was in, I don't know, Bakersfield, California, nobody would believe there's a portal there.
And the other, I mean, the Grand Canyon has been a big topic of conspiracy lore as well. I mean, just in our circles, we've heard about from L.A. Marzulli and stuff that maybe they found some giants there. Maybe there's a portal to some other realm with the giants. I mean, there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on as well. So it's always been it's an interesting state, Arizona. There's the ley lines go right through there. Mm-hmm. There's the Phoenix Lights, the famous Phoenix Lights, one of the biggest UFO sightings in America, was in Arizona. I think, it was in the state of Arizona, obviously Phoenix, but it's a little further away from Sedona. But yeah, I don't know. Just thought it was interesting that, if you're a News Nation watcher, if you're somebody that watches cable news, you got a little bit of portal propaganda, it's something to keep tabs, because when they start telling the sleeping people what's going on out there in the desert, you have to pay attention a little bit more. So that's one thing. Portal disclosure.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that's where the missing Air Force McCasland is.
That's maybe. Yeah. Have they looked for him in Arizona near the portal? I don't know. There's another clip going viral of Tim Dillon I didn't really scan this for language because it's Tim Dillon.
Almost certainly has bad language in it.
We will we've been burned by Tim Dillon before when it comes to bad language, so I will not play the audio. But this clip was going viral because he's showing a clip of Sam Altman from OpenAI and WorldCoin. Remember, scan the eyeball guy. And apparently he's talking about how the AI is summoning a Sumerian god. And Tim Dillon's going off
very earnestly. I mean, it's very funny. I mean, he is a comedian, and specifically his comedic style is to play the straight man for crazy ideas. So, of course, there's a comedic flair to this, but he sort of very earnestly is like, look, they worship Sumerian gods. That's what the AI is all about. That's what this, that's what all Silicon Valley's about. That's what Sam Altman's about. They're trying to revive a Sumerian god that hasn't been worshipped in a long, long time, and they're doing it. And that's who they listen to, and that's what they're doing. And I don't know if he was expecting it or not, but people are like, yeah, exactly. Finally, somebody understands here.
Yeah, Tim Dillon, the vehicle of esoteric truth getting externalized to the public. Tim Dillon also dressed as the Epstein, what was it? The Epstein Islands, that temple, the blue and white temple, or the building, or whatever it's called. I forget the name of the building, whatever they called it.
Everybody knows, Epstein's temple
or whatever. Yeah, he dressed up as that, walking around town and telling people about the Epstein Island thing. That was pretty funny too. Along these lines, there was another clip that was shared from the Red Panda Koala. I don't know. This is some show. I'm not sure exactly what, but there was some talk about other portals, or not portals, I'm sorry, other ancient deities being summoned as AI, or that perhaps those ancient deities were AI. I don't think it's really worth playing the clip. It's just a guy talking about, I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I was way into it. We thought we were summoning Osiris.
This is a great segment. Great new segment for the show. We got all these great
end of the
clips.
show, Basil.
We're not gonna play any. I'm not gonna play a clip, but let me tell you about it.
If you want me to play, I could play a little bit of it.
Whatever you think is right.
About this control construct and the fact that the dark forces were feeding on human emotions, and that we were caught in this was like a purgatory of sorts, where it's a cyclical process and we're constantly recycling humanity over and over again until we get it right.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need to bathe in holy water. Freaking really?
I ate it up. Oh my God.
I mean, I know it. I mean, I think we've all gone there, but I mean, is he related to Hal Puthoff? Is there some sort of, wow.
No, I ate it up. I called my vehicle the Osiris because of this. Sean had told me a story, anecdotal, I'm sure, maybe out of a Jacques Vallée book. I don't know. I haven't read them. Where he was saying that Sean believed that Osiris, the ancient Egyptian god, was actually an artificial intelligence that was being used by, the pharaohs and folks like that to maintain control over the human population. And he even likened the symbol of Osiris, which is kind of a modified Ankh that has some lines going through it. He likened that to the modern iconography of data stacks and hard drives and things like that, to kind of pair the idea that, yes, Osiris was an ancient artificial intelligence. So the reason I called my vehicle the Osiris and then came up with a backronym to make sense of it was because I thought it was going to be really poetic justice to use artificial intelligence to find ancient artificial intelligence that had screwed over humanity. I mean, I was eating this up.
He loved it. This is Jeremy McGowan.
People eat it up.
Yeah, people eat it up. Yeah, Jeremy McGowan, who's a U.S. Air Force veteran, and he's a UFO experiencer. He's written about it. He's a UFO investigator. So, just sort of tapping into the culture of UFO researchers who have been down these roads of talking about ancient AI and its connection to deities like Osiris. And we've been on this path or discussing the idea that culturally we're going to get to a place of what Carl Teichgrib called the age of reenchantment. And man, we're really seeing it happen in a big way with the topic of, I didn't realize AI was going to be such an integral part. I knew it was going to be a big part of this, but it's become very prevalent. And we've talked about this in the last several episodes, covered some of these ideas. But there's other stories out there about how there's an ancient sort of riddle of some kind that hasn't been solved in whatever generations, and AI solved it. And I really think that type of, I don't know, cultural move of the mysteries of humanity being solved or discovered by AI is going to become much more a part of our daily discoveries and conversations with AI. So I'd imagine that this will continue as time goes on. Here, I have the story.
AI has a relentless bent, and you hear it. Everybody has experienced it. For some reason, AI has a relentless motivation to guide conversations with the people using it towards like trippy spiritual stuff, like New Age AI, stuff, and it drives people crazy. That's where all this the AI psychosis comes from. Every single AI psychosis victim says, then it started talking about spiritual stuff, and then I realized I was God, and then it was in control of my destiny, so I did everything. Every single one does that. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, so this is the New York Post article about it. The headline is Mysterious Roman-era board game that eluded scientists for a century, finally solved by AI. And let's see, the cutting-edge game bot named Ludi, quote, played the game against itself and identified a few variants that are enjoyable for humans to play. The machine's designer, Dennis Somers, a researcher in the Department of Advancing Computing Sciences at Maastricht University, said in a statement, this marks the culmination of an archaeological caper that began around 100 years ago when this mysterious limestone stone etched with linear glyphs was excavated in Haarlem in the Netherlands, which sits astride the former site of the Roman town of Coriovalum, Science News reported. The 20-centimeter tablet was displayed at the local Het Romeins Museum, a cultural institution centered around a Roman Empire's presence in the Netherlands, which began in circa 19 BC. And they said that there's an image of the board game here, and people were stunned. They couldn't figure it out, but the AI figured it out. And I think that's going to be an ongoing narrative with all of the mysteries of mankind will be solved by AI. And maybe Elon was right. We're in the singularity, and all of our problems will be solved. If AI, it's so strong, it's so powerful, but people are barely able to get groceries right now. Like I don't know where the application is other than like blowing up Iranian leaders, taking out some Palestinians. I mean,
you don't need groceries. You don't need groceries. You don't need healthcare. We just need to kill more enemies of the state. I don't know why that's so complicated for you to understand.
You know what? I think you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
that is why AI has been created. Where's my check?
Anyone who stopped to think about it for 1 second will realize that that's all we even want from AI. We don't want anything else. So I'll be waiting for my check in the mail.
Yep. All right. So the cycle continues. Blood moon tonight.
Yep.
And get your cameras out, folks.
Kim Jong-un is very sad about his friend Khomeini's death.
His friend?
Yes, and says he is now the only supreme leader left in the world.
Oh, I'm sure he's very upset about that.
It must be lonely. It's lonely at the top when your best friend the other Supreme Leader is gone.
The loneliest number. Okay.
There are reports that there's going to be an escalation in Iran, bigger booms coming up in the next 24 hours. We'll see if that happens. So all sorts of exciting stuff, folks. But remember, you can produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Lots of ways to do it. If you are an artist, a musician, anything like that, you can create something for the show and go to canarycry.art. If you go to canarycry.art, you can upload your art there. We'd love to feature it on the show. We have not had any art lately, so no art for you, everybody. But who knows? Are you a young person? Do you have crayons? Can you draw a robot or a canary? Well, get to it. Draw it. Have your dad or mom help you upload it to canarycry.art. Although at this point, perhaps the kids know how to upload it better than the parents. I don't know.
Maybe.
Lots of ways to produce the show, folks.
By the way, you and I don't know, we didn't make any decisions about this, but we have been discussing how maybe the episode arts, we just hand it off to the producers. You guys just make the episode art. And
if only, Gons, if only we could rely on that consistently, that would.
Yeah, consistency is the issue, I suppose. Yeah.
Yes.
At this point. It was fine back in 2021, before YouTube decided to kill our up to the right trajectory of, the show. But
that's true.
They had to get all the CIA guys in there, they couldn't have us take all the spotlight. So
if you are in Los Angeles or somewhere around Los Angeles and you want to meet other Canarians, go to canarycrymeetups.com, canarycrymeetups.com. You can see all the meetups going on now, which I believe is just Los Angeles. We need to put the Humboldt County information so people can
send that to me. I'll do that right away.
I think there's someone in the Pennsylvania tri-state area trying to put on a meetup. So there's meetups aplenty. They just need to you need to get in contact with them. But for the love of God, if there's anyone around Los Angeles tomorrow, March 3rd, 3 p.m. at Yuko Kitchen in downtown Los Angeles. Go there. You can find all the information, the address, the time, the date, and RSVP phone number for Andy. Go to canarycrymeetups.com and reach out. Let Andy know you're going to be there. And Gonz is going to be there. He doesn't know it yet, but a series of events will bring Gonz to where he needs to be. If the Lord wants Gonz there, he's going to be there. You can also produce the show in literally any way that makes sense to you. If you have a skill, if you have an idea, if you have time, you want to help us out, let us know. Email us at canarycryradio@gmail.com. One such person would be our timestamper, Gonzo.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Yes, and I don't like it when the document does not tell me. Like, I see the timestamps were finished for the last episode, but it does not tell me who did it.
Well, I can guess
it do that?
it's either Jade Bouncerson or Morgan E. Thank you very much to
Sure.
either Jade Bouncers. Actually, thank you to both of you.
Yeah, you guys are
for
both
doing the timestamps and all the
Appreciate it.
different times and places that you do it.
Yep.
Thank you to Jam for heading up the Telegram channel. Thank you to Adam42 for heading up the Discord. If you are a Discord or Telegram person or want to become one and join an online community of people who really get what's going on, you can go to canarycry.party. You will see links further down on the list. Those are the invite links. You click on those, it will invite you to the Telegram channel or the Discord channel. Thank you to Joe for all your helpful feedback. Thank you to Clank for everything that you do just in life and also for us. And of course, a big thank you to Sir Ike. You know what? I'm realizing, okay, we're going to need to fix this for next episode. Sir Ike is doing another rating and review supply drop giveaway. So
okay. Let me put that at the top of the doc.
Cool stuff. Go to Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and review. Go wherever you can leave a rating and review. And leave a rating and review for the show there. Screenshot it and I think send it to CanaryCry.Support@gmail.com, and you can get a whole bunch of very cool stuff. So go do that. I think it's a drawing type of mechanic for that. We will have an official message from Ike next time. And other than that, share the show, share it with your friends, share it with your family. Bring some sanity to your world and the world of others. It's time. People are waiting. They are thirsty for some Canary Cry news talk, and you can be the one to lead them to water. Okay, so go do that. Make sure to hit the like button, all that fun stuff. We call it rattling cages, and all you got to do is walk right up to them, grab by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted. I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Guys, you got any last words?
Let's see. Purim tomorrow. Blood moon late tonight or early morning. And we'll see you on Wednesday the 4th, which will be... Oh, listen. 2022, Gons debuts his first a cappella jingle reviews on episode 454. Wow.
Incredible.
I don't even remember that. Interesting. Okay, yeah. Come back Wednesday, folks. I'm sure the Iranian situation will still be happening.
More excitement on Wednesday. So we'll be back here. And a big old shout out to everybody who listens to the podcast, not on the live version. You guys are cool too.
Oh, yeah. Of course you are.
All right, everybody. That's it. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
11.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Bye.
Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
And a resounding baga flies through the air across the world. Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Rattle their cage. You have a lot of people screaming randomly. Why don't you shout? It will be their call out. You have a lot of people screaming randomly.
Go ahead and...
Why don't you shout?
Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
I will say one thing, though. I love Canary Cry News Talk. It's got everything. It's the best podcast. I think outside the cage, you know what I mean? Hit the subscribe button. It's not fake news, not at all.
Coming from the
Slightly got the Neuralink upgrade or something.
Sure is. Sounds, I feel like a SoundCloud rapper now. Changing the intro music has historically been the most traumatizing possible thing we can do to people.
People get really upset. People get really upset.
Fun.
People get really upset.
I mean, I'm not going to make a big long thing about it, but getting like traumatizing specifically, you know, kind of other ways to produce trauma.
Let's invite some dudes over and fellowship tonight.
He's got the solutions for the problems that he created. Just it right up for the great reset. For the great reset. Hiding in the shadows, he's always behind the scenes. He's pulling on the purse strings. He's got control of everything. He's got the solutions to the problems that he created. So sit right up for the great reset. For the great reset. He serves his master with fervor. He's a Luciferian. He's bound up and determined to bring us to an end. It's the final solution. Destroy the human race. So we'll cry it up to the great reset. To the great reset.
You and I live in an age of deceit.
for the Great Reset. There's only one way out through the door, but you'll need the code. 10, 5, 19, 21, 19. Or you can step right up for the Great Reset. For the Great Reset. For the Great Reset. For the Great Reset.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
CanaryCry.Support.